My theory here, I don't want you guys to miss it, is that the moment I do something to Rich, it travels. It goes through your hand all the way over. Notice how his lips kind of quivered a little bit. Do me a favor, Davey. Wake up. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. What did you just feel?
My chin.
What? I don't know why they're still touching fingers, by the way. It's only weird. What I loved about Magic was the instant response. And that's what the rush is of performing live. Like some of the things on America's Got Talent that were live, 15 million people are watching. The producers know how I'm doing this. And they say to me, but wait, what happens if it goes wrong? You only have 4 minutes. It's live TV. We can't extend. We're commercials. And I go, that's the rush.
People of the internet, here we are. How's it going? Good to have you. Welcome to the podcast. My guest today is Oz Pearlman. Oz is a world-class mentalist, which we're going to get into, as well as a highly accomplished marathoner and ultra runner. In 2015, Oz came out of nowhere to capture hearts and minds on a little TV show you might have heard of called America's Got Talent, where week after week, he performed mind-blowing, never-before-seen mentalism routines, finishing in third place out of thousands and thousands of acts. He blows minds everywhere he goes, The Today Show, Ellen, Jimmy Fallon, and today, I can guarantee you he's going to blow yours.
Unbelievable. I call bullshit because I think you are magic.
I really don't want to spoil this one any further beyond simply imploring you to please stick around to the end, because this wizard performs the craziest sorcery imaginable.
Oh my God.
What?
How? It's not even a common name.
It's just a reveal for the ages that left not just me, but my entire team absolutely stunned and breathless. How's that for a tease? Okay, so hit that subscribe button and please enjoy me going down the mentalism rabbit hole with Oz Pearlman.
You could sit down and interview anyone today that's ever lived. I'm sure there's a long list, but this is the person that popped in your head first, right?
Correct.
That's it. I want you to look through and find a photo. Make sure it's not on video that I don't want you to think I can see this or what he's doing. And find a photo. Photo's gonna be worth 1,000 words on this one of this person.
Okay.
You got one?
Mm-hmm.
You could keep the photo, I guess, but just don't show anyone else around you. I don't want them to know, close the screen, lock it, just make sure there's no way I can see it.
All right.
I don't want anyone to see it. I don't want you to think no way.
So before we started the podcast, first of all, thanks for coming here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really looking forward to getting into this with you. There's so many cool things to talk to you about. Before we even started, you had me doing a whole bunch of stuff. I suspect that at some point you want to do some kind of reveal or, blow my mind with something. We can do that at the end or
That's
at the
plan.
beginning.
No, we got to leave.
Want to do?
I like to end big.
Okay. We'll end big. Well, why don't you kick it off by just explaining what mentalism is so we're all clear on kind of the playing field in which you operate. I think it gets sort of conflated with magic and mind reading and tarot card reading and all kinds of other stuff. So lay the groundwork on what it is that you do.
So it's interesting because I would never believed if you would have told me I was going to be a mentalist. This is not like the career path I thought I was going to be on, which is shocking to this day. It's kind of like magic of the mind. So everybody can visualize a magician because you think somebody picks a card and they're going to find it with fast hands, right? That's kind of the dynamic, sleight of hand.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is more analyzing how people think, reverse engineering their decision-making, and some elements of body language reading, psychology, and honestly, group dynamics, social dynamics, knowing how people behave and studying that for decades, and then knowing how to entertain people. That's the key word. It's entertainment. I'm not psychic. I don't pretend to know the future. I would have won the lottery by now, Rich, between me and you. But it's reading people and making it very entertaining and doing it in such a way that it's not explainable. Like the key is, it's kind of, you watch magic and somebody did something fast. My hands don't move fast. I just do stuff where I'm very good at guessing things.
You're very much an expert at this, though. I watched a whole ton of your videos. I watched all the America's Got Talent performances and Ellen and the Today Show and all this sort of stuff.
Man.
And you have an incredible stage presence and command of what you're doing. And it's impossible for me as a layperson to try to deconstruct what the cues are that you're, the sort of foundation that you're laying. And you're so in this flow of what you're doing, but I have to imagine that you're paying such close attention to, what's coming out of the person's mouth, how you're kind of cueing them up, how you're leading them down a certain path. And if there's something not going your way, you have to kind of redirect it and land that plane in the place that you want to, where you want to stick that landing, right? So it seems like you're kind of reverse engineering all of this. Like, you know where you want it to end up, and you have to take this person on a journey that's going to land them there without anybody being the wiser.
Very well put. Like, exactly that. Think of a movie this is the best way to describe it. Think of a movie with the director's cut that you never saw, right? The director points the camera at what they want you to see, but there's other elements of the movie. So what I do, it's very funny because it's not linear. Not to be like too in the weeds, I don't usually just say, hey, think of this and I'm going to guess this. I kind of take you on a path where amazing things happen and you don't really know exactly what's going to take place. And that's the advantage for me. That's why I'm not working for the FBI profiling people or like at a casino. There's certain things I do that give me a tactical advantage in life, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also done on the course of entertainment where I can't just go into a casino and rack up winnings. I can do certain things, but they know how to neutralize my advantage. But in essence, yeah, I know how to observe people. I generally know how you're going to behave. And even in the moment where you think, I'm going to change my mind, I'm going to do something different right now, I know you're going to do that.
Yeah. We're going to get into how you know that. And I know you're going to be cagey about what you're willing to reveal. But I'm going to work on trying to get you to divulge a little bit.
Right. Spill the beans.
But you have done some kind of financial predictions and,
Yep.
Super Bowl and Final Four stuff. Like, you go on Squawk Box. So that's a different animal than like
Totally.
reading an individual. So that does get into, predictions and, sorcery.
So some of that stuff was straight up, like the way I describe it is when I'm doing a show, it's a combination. It's like routines, tricks. It's all the above. There's psychology, but I know that a lot of stuff's going to work. The predictions that I've done, for the most part, it's like I'm sailing without a safety net. There's, there's no, like the Super Bowls, I got a bunch of them right, and then I got one wrong. And it's like, what are you going to do? And everyone's like, oh my God, you got it wrong. I go, hey, I'm not psychic. So what I did is kind of analyze the way anybody would handicap things. And the Final Four was amazing. I mean, I nailed the Final Four. And then so again, all of these things, that's why people started betting on it. And I had to put a disclaimer out there being like, hey, bet at your own risk. Because eventually this house of cards might crumble. And I couldn't get every single one right. But technically speaking, I got a lot more right than if you were flipping coins.
Did you bet on it yourself?
I definitely bet on stuff.
You did?
Yeah.
And how does that play into, we're going to get into your background, but does that play into, the stock market and investments and things like that?
I'd like to think I'm somewhat of a savvy investor because my background is working on Wall Street. But I'm actually much more of a vanilla, boring type person when it comes to investments. I don't like taking big swings and risks. I've got kind of a thought on low-cost index ETFs, growing your wealth slowly over time, consistently, but with some, kind of what I would describe as asymmetrical bets. Like right now, cryptocurrencies, I think is a no-brainer for people to invest in, but that's a topic that's a little controversial.
Right. That's its own podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
The one performance of yours that got me more than probably all the others was the one on America's Got Talent where the panel had to guess the number of gumballs in the jar.
Oh, nice, man. Love it.
And then all the numbers lined up to be this long number that you had predicted. And I can't even wrap my head around like how you pulled that off.
Oh man, thank you.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Nick Cannon reaches in and there's gumballs and they take out and there's a receipt in there, and the receipt, the item number
for
is
the purchase of the gumballs themselves.
Exactly. So it was, man, it's one of those things where what I want to do is a 1, 2, 3 punch. I want to do something that you kind of think you figured out. You're like, man, I think I kind of know how you might have done that. Then the next one's like, oh wow, I don't know. And then the third one is totally unexpected, just a kick to the brain, and you're just like, I'm done. So that's why I kind of like to, all my setups on TV, if you kind of watch them, are just like boom, 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 and the biggest one at the end.
Yeah. I'll link up that video as well as a bunch of other videos of yours in the show notes. But yeah, ostensibly the number on the receipt for the gumballs lined up perfectly with the series of numbers that if you went down the panel in order, like the exact series of numbers.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
Thanks. Think of a number between 1 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
And here, I'm gonna sneak over here. Okay, done. Does the number have some sort of significance or just kind of pop in your head?
Just pop in my head.
No good. Okay, so hear me out. When people do significant numbers, there's like a reason. Didn't feel. I felt like maybe he did a birthday, but then he seemed excited. Probably higher. What would Davey do? Free spirit, probably an odd number. All right, go with this. Grab the pen. I wrote 21. I crossed it out. Was it 21? I'm gonna be super pissed. Blake, you think it was higher too? What did you go with? Tell me. Tell Blake. Tell Rich, tell us all, what are you thinking? What's that number?
65.
Did I tell you higher? Tell him what I wrote. You saw it. Tell him what I wrote. I crossed out 21. I wrote down 65. I knew he'd go odd.
I want to work our way up to America's Got Talent. So let's start at the beginning. You're from Israel, but you moved to Michigan as a young person.
Yep. So I moved to the States when I was 3. I was born during a war, and then my dad was an engineer, and he got a job here. Kind of, they do an exchange program because everyone in Israel goes to the military. It's kind of at 18, everybody does. And so he was in the Navy. He was designing engines, and he did like an exchange program. We were supposed to come for 2 years, and then we ended up loving it and staying in the States.
Just stayed. Where in Michigan?
So I moved a couple places before, but I ended up middle school, high school, and college. I lived in Farmington Hills, Michigan, kind of outside Detroit.
I was born in Grosse Pointe.
We always do this. I don't know if they'll see this on the podcast, but we hold up our hand and point where in Michigan. All the Michiganders will know. And that's how I describe where I was.
Yeah, all my cousins and extended family are Michigan people. My parents went to U of M.
Go Blue.
The whole thing.
Me
so
too.
I just, I'm the black sheep because I came out to California, but, maize and blue.
Wait, what's wrong with you? You wanted beautiful weather, Rich? You wanted sunlight some of the year? What's wrong with you, Rich Roll?
On. Go Blue, right?
Yep.
My grandfather swam for University of Michigan under Coach Matt Mann, and the natatorium is called the Matt Mann Pool.
Oh, really?
At University of Michigan, yeah.
They have a strong team, I think.
Yeah, so he was a legend. Yeah, they've built an incredible program there. I mean, Michael Phelps, you went to U of M, right?
Yep, I went to Michigan.
You probably were there when Phelps was there.
I'm trying to think of the overlap.
Yeah, how old are you?
How old? I'm turning 40 this year.
Oh, you're probably a little older than him.
Yeah, I'm older than him. Because, he was in 08. Man, I'll never forget that Olympics.
Yeah.
I watched every event he was in. That was just like 888. I remember that opening ceremony, and I think that was the best Olympics ever in my life, where he won every medal and he out-touched that guy. And I was screaming. I was in my house or at people's homes just like yelling, screaming. I think that was the best Olympics ever.
And before you got into running, you were a swimmer.
I was a swimmer. I was a competitive swimmer as a kid. I was never good. I started school when I was 5, and then I skipped 4th grade. A little bit of a nerd. So I was always 2 years younger than everybody I was friends with, and I was really little. So I think, actually, in hindsight, I'm still not big, 5'7" 3/4. I like to add that 3/4 in, very important. But I still don't think I would have been a good swimmer, but I got better as we increased, because I think at a certain age, I was 16 when everyone was 18 around me. And if I had those extra years, I think I would have gotten better. And I got to be a decent freestyler.
Right. That was your stroke.
Freestyle, and I could do very strong at fly, but only for a quick period. Like if I was in the medley relay, I could crush a 50 fly. I was almost as quick at a 50 fly as I was 50 free because I wouldn't breathe. We used to do those shooters. Did you remember those shooters where you go underwater to one side, completely no breath, and then back, and then you have them on on an interval, and you have maybe 5 seconds to just get yourself just absolute depletion. I would say swim workouts are probably the hardest ones I've ever had in my life, where at the end of a workout, I would be in the shower on the floor, even though it's the high school bathroom floor, which is horrendously disgusting, because I couldn't stand up.
Yeah. Well, swimming teaches you how to suffer, right?
So
and
much.
That definitely plays into, being an ultramarathoner. You already have that background and familiarity with how to push yourself. And there's something about being in the pool where you can push yourself really hard, but you're not going to get injured like you would in running. Like if you went out and killed it every day in running the way that people do in the pool, you'd end up with a problem pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So in running, it becomes more about holding back and conservation and knowing when to choose your moments to go hard.
And swimming had something to it, because I did cross country for one season and I hated it. I was the worst one on the team, not figuratively, literally. I was the worst person on the team. My coach later on, when I started running and winning marathons, this guy was in shock. He goes, "Wait, O's?" He thought it was impossible. He thought it was a practical joke or an April Fool's, because I was the guy who not only was the worst, I brought the morale of the team down. My friend, we would cheat. We always, in Michigan, there's mile blocks. You know how 12 mile, 11 mile, like the movie 8 Mile? We knew that during part of our workout, we would run by my buddy's house. So we would sneak into his house. We would play GoldenEye. We would watch out the window to see when the other guys came back, and we would quickly hyperventilate, throw water on our face, and run the last half mile with them full speed. So I was actually destroying part of the team ethic, because I would be like, "Let's go play GoldenEye at your house, bro." And it was very funny.
Undermining the whole thing. Well, when did he become aware? I mean, let's just so people who are watching or listening know, you're a 2:23 marathoner, right?
That's my PR, yeah.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. Is that what you just ran in New York?
No. I wish. I not bad. I ran 2:29.
2:29. Okay. Yeah.
And so I've done
23 was a couple years ago.
223 was about 5 years ago. It was right before I had my first kid.
Yeah.
Well, my wife had our first kid,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Then kids,
man.
It all goes out the window.
Oh man, did it go out the window for a little bit. I still managed to keep it somewhat together, but after our first kid, I just let training slip. And you know that feeling when you think you're still in shape, so you go after it, but you're not in the shape you were?
Oh, I know that well. Yeah.
And you go out in the first half marathon is just based on the fact that you have so much miles in your legs that I just crushed the first half and then a nice dose of humble pie on the second half.
Yeah. So, all right. So you sucked at running. You had some background in swimming. You were a precocious kid, kind of advanced academically.
Yeah.
Where does the mentalism and the magic start to creep into your fascination?
So my folks got divorced when I was 13, which was like, I don't know, for some people, a very traumatic type event. In my case, it was kind of, it set me on a path where I needed something to fill the emotional void, is what I would describe it as, to not really deal with the family tumultuousness. And I had just seen a magician on a cruise ship. Things happened very close in time, and I was obsessed. And that's kind of my personality in general, is when I get into something, it's full tilt. Like I never half-ass it. I went to the library, I checked out every book, I read them cover to cover. I started just practicing card tricks literally 18 hours a day. From the time I woke up until night, I had waterproof cards to practice in the shower.
Wow.
Psychotic.
Yeah. The nerdy magic kid. There's nothing worse than that guy.
And I actually met a kid. There was a kid who transitioned from being like the magic guy from middle school to becoming, he was more of, what would I describe it, the music guy. His name was Ryan Hertz. I'll never forget this. If he hears this, I'd love it. And I used to drive him crazy because when we got into high school, he didn't really want to be as into magic because he was known as the magician. And I would tirelessly like bother this kid, teach me a trick. And with magic, you kind of have to prove yourself. It's something where people don't give you the secrets until they know that you're really serious. You know what I mean? You only teach other magicians tricks. And with Mentalists, it's even more of a close-knit network where you don't really share things unless you kind of know other people have, I don't know, the credentials or the experience, or they're, I don't know, one of us, so to speak. And so over time, he started kind of sharing stuff with me, and he saw that I was doing this for real. And I just started doing it. My mom at some point was like, hey, I'm not buying all these tricks for you in books. You got to go do it. And that was kind of my inner hustle at 14. I went and got a job half a mile from my house, just walked into a restaurant and booked it. And I started working at that restaurant. And then I started doing kids shows, and I was doing this all the time to make money.
Just right out of the gate, like knew this
about
is
a
what
year
you
in.
wanted to do. Yeah.
I never knew that I would do it as a living because I didn't know that could be, I didn't know that was possible. Like all I saw was David Copperfield on TV, and it's kind of like watching movies. Nobody, at least I don't think I could be a movie star. Like I don't know anyone who's that, so I don't think that's actually possible. Like my archetype is you got to go be an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor, you know.
But you got that like Mark Cuban hustle gene.
I think
like
so.
You're a bit of a salesman.
For sure.
Right? Yeah.
I'm 100%. I almost don't think I'm a mentalist. I'm a salesperson who's damn good at selling this product, which is that I can read minds.
Yeah. And where does that come from? Like, is that a reflection of like your parents getting divorced and a desire for attention, or is there some just inbred thing that you have that drives you to succeed? Because you have a big motor inside of you. It would be enough just to have this huge career as a mentalist, but then to layer on top of that all the ultramarathoning and all of that, like in the level of obsession and attention to detail that you bring to everything, like that's your superpower, I think, that kind of underscores and drives all of this.
You know, I think that I liked standing out. Even as a kid, I liked being known for something, and at different stages of my life, I was always kind of known. My greatest fear was to be like not known. Apathy is the worst thing. If somebody watches my show and at the end, they go, I know how you did this. I know how you did that. I don't mind that. That's engagement. Not even like social media. That's like live. I like that you leave there thinking about me, and I want to be memorable. And so if somebody leaves the show and it's like a movie that was a popcorn flick that it went in one ear out the other, and a day later, like, oh, I don't even remember seeing that. That is death to me. Like that kills me on the inside. If somebody's sitting there on their phone, not paying attention, I need to know what I'm doing that's wrong, that's not capturing their imagination and their attention. And so I think what I loved about magic was the iterative approach. It's that every time you do it, you get an instant response. It's like stand-up comedy. It's not like making a product like this. Even to me, I don't know what's going to happen with this. People absorb it on their own, and they're going to listen to it while they're working out, while they're sleeping, while they're, doing a million things. I love the immediate appeal of seeing an audience's reaction and seeing how I can improve upon it. And that's what the rush is of performing live. And the same with racing. I love the excitement of a race.
Right. It's truth. It doesn't lie to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like running doesn't lie to you, and the response of the audience is going to be honest.
Right.
And I think when I think about what you do and what I've observed in watching your stuff, that distinguishes you from other people of your ilk is that you weave into the performance some reveals. Like you want them, you're like, here's kind of how I do it. Like you drip out a few things to like let them know, like, hey, this is kind of how I do it. You're not going to tell them, anything too major,
Right.
but you kind of cue them. And I think that creates an emotional connection where they feel like, oh, cool. Like now I'm really alert because I'm looking for those cues that he's talking about, how he goes from one place to the other and creates this sort of tapestry that, lands in such a mind-blowing place.
You nailed it, man.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. It's like,
I mean, did you,
breadcrumbs.
I don't see other people doing that though. It's, like that level of divulgence. Did you come up with that yourself or?
I did it because I'm the biggest skeptic. So it's like funny. I'm the person who watches these things with the eye of a skepticism. And honestly, people that like mentalism will go down a few paths. One, they'll just like watching it, right? It's kind of a cool thing. And I get a lot of my shows where people say to me, I don't even like magic, but I love you. And I find that a great compliment because I'm the same way. When I watch like Copperfield or somebody do an amazing illusion, a lot of time I don't know how it works, but it loses me because I know there's a method. Does that make sense? There's like, I know that somehow, whether you created it or bought it or something, there's a trick there that you're doing. And I know it. It's still amazing and I respect it. I love magic. But when I'm watching certain things with mentalism that hug the line, like things I've done that I can tell you for a fact have a real danger component. Like some of the things on America's Got Talent that were live, 15 million people are watching. The producers know how I'm doing this. And they say to me, but wait, it could go wrong this way, this way, this way. Like they're sitting looking at me like, wait, but don't you understand? I go, I do know that. And they go, well, what happens if it goes wrong? You only have 4 minutes. It's live TV. We can't extend. We're commercials. And I go, that's the rush. Like that's what you just said is it, because the fact that you know that, the audience feels that, and you can't fake real, not danger, because I'm not going to die. I'm not actually getting physically hurt, but I could bomb and it could go absolutely wrong. And that makes me sharpen my focus, and that makes it all the more exciting for the person watching and for me doing it. And you know that when you watch somebody who's excited, you feel that emotion, you mirror that response. Go through your mind and think of someone you are very likely to talk to in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
You got someone?
Yeah, I got someone.
Is it an obvious choice?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Want to go with it? Rich, hold on to this for me. Would any of them know this person?
Yeah.
Okay. But not an obvious choice. Like if I asked everyone to guess right now, do you think they would know?
Oh, no, they wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know. Yeah. Let's see. It's so funny because I'm normally in a jacket and I came right out of the airport. I don't know where anything is.
The pen?
Oh, I got it. Yeah. I thought I had a marker. Where'd I put it? We're in a really quiet room. Normally if I'm doing an event, like people are boisterous, you can whisper. Please don't whisper. I don't want to hear it. Just jot down the person's first name. Show them.
Okay.
Very important. Rich got my wallet. Make sure it doesn't steal all my cash. Next, make sure I can't see anything from over here.
Let me see.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Can I come back?
Yeah, you're good.
Love it. Fold it again.
Okay, fold it again.
Just so it doesn't pop right open. Whatever.
Okay.
You guys saw it? Mm-hmm. Eat it. I'm totally kidding. He would have done it. This guy's intense. All right, next best thing, destroy. Look, rip, shred, hard eye contact. Rich, make sure I'm looking at, hold out your hand.
Okay.
He could have thought of a guy or a girl. Are we in agreement? Are there any scraps left over?
No.
Now, you could guess this because once you see it, you can kind of tell. Could have picked a guy or a girl, but I said to him, is it somebody obvious? And then he kind of reacted. And then next, look at the body language. Super relaxed still. It's a guy, am I right?
Yeah.
Of course, if it was a woman, be a little more excited right now. Would have touched that beard too. Always, the beard touch, classic. Thinking of her, you're going GQ. Are you going to see him, which indicates either that he lives close by or something like that? Do you guys have plans? Because when I said you're going to probably talk to this person, or likely just going to be like a text. Like what's the vibe on this? Do you think you'll see the person?
Yeah, I'll go for like.
Open the wallet, please.
Open the wallet.
Yeah. We never met. We've never spoken.
Right.
Because there was way that I could have known he'd be here during this. If there's a photo of this guy in there, you're going to flip out?
Yeah.
He's about to get a restraining order. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Let's get this Davey. Jason, you do it. Last time you got to help. The zipper. Come on over. Come on close. Open up the little zipper, please. And my business card. It says my name, my number, but I wrote something on the back for Blake. Read it to him.
Say hello to Eamon for me.
Oh my God.
What?
How?
It's not even a common name.
I know, that's the thing. I'm like, there's no way he's going to guess this name. How?
Let me see it.
Name.
That's crazy.
So where does it first kind of creep in to your life in a professional way? I mean, you go through high school, you're at University of Michigan. I assume you're doing this at parties and stuff like that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Picking up girls. This is like when you're 14 and suddenly you do a trick and a girl's like lights up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sold.
Right.
But I had this thing where at 16, I finished high school. My dad moved back to Israel. My mom moved back to Israel. My dad had like another woman and split up, and just a lot of drama, let's just say. And I was on my own. When I say on my own, like I supported myself in college.
Wow.
So it became suddenly a thing where I need to figure out who's paying for tuition and all these things. And that's when you say the hustle, some of it is born of necessity, where I got to pay bills. And I was just turning 17 after freshman year. And so magic was one way that I could do very well and earn money. And also it created my drive, where there is no playbook in entertainment. There's not like hey, read this and now you'll be successful. You got to make things happen. So I was a constant networker. I would be places, I would be doing stuff, handing out my business cards. And I kind of learned how to sell ever since I was 14, how to approach a table of people that are eating food that don't know you, that are like, who is this kid? What does he want? Is he good? I started to know how to deconstruct people's inner monologues of like what they're thinking. And just like a sales tactic, how do you neutralize their thoughts that are negative before they happen, so that by the time you leave, they want more of you? It is kind of, if you ever heard of pickup artistry, like the people that know how to, it's not for picking up, but like sales dynamics, negotiation skills, how to read a room, all of those things. I didn't really read books. I just kind of learned them over time because I just did so many shows when I was a kid and learned to deal with rejection very well. And most people are so fearful. And I learned that very soon, rejection's not a big deal. It's something to embrace and learn from and then get better at. So I got really good at that.
Right. So you're going into restaurants and pitching the owners, like, let me, do my thing.
Yep.
And then, get tips or whatever, or get hired by the restaurant to just come in and do a show during dinner time.
Oh, so what ended up happening is what the people, you target the right restaurants. I learned early on, like at a young age, like I want to be at restaurants for a variety of reasons, where people either have bigger budgets or people that are going to hire me for parties. And as that advanced in life, when I moved to New York City, I started realizing like, where are the corporate people at? Because it's better to try and negotiate with somebody who's not spending their own money than their company's money. And I started learning those things. But at 14, I can give you a great example. I went up to a table, 2 women that did not seem to want me there whatsoever. I did my stuff for them, and she asked me for my business card, which was weird because I didn't think they liked me. And then she called me about 3 days later, and there was a National Tire and Battery, which is kind of like a Pep Boys type thing in Michigan, and they were having 3 grand openings, and they hired me. I'd never gotten a corporate gig in my life. No idea what to charge. I don't even know if they know, like they're calling a 14-year-old boy.
Right.
At those events, at each single one of those were Detroit Red Wings players that were there for the national openings along with me. And every one of those were future Hall of Famers, like Steve Yzerman, Nick Lindstrom, Dino Ciccarelli. And these guys are huge. In Detroit, these are massive celebrities. This was like being with Michael Jordan. And so I'm at these parties, these events, I'm doing stuff with these guys, photos in the newspaper, and suddenly just, you got to make your luck in a certain way. But once you get it, you have to embrace the momentum. And that's something I learned early on in life. And I've done that ever since, where if you go to America's Got Talent, a lot of people do that. And then that's kind of it. That was a stepping stone. Like every one of these things I try to use and keep the momentum going. Roll that snowball down a mountain.
But it's interesting that with that level of success at such a young age, that it still didn't break the spell of pursuing it as a full-time thing.
Not at all. Yeah. I didn't think that it's possible. Like, do you know when you have like a switch in your brain that it's only like, the only way I could describe it, an on-off switch. And I've had a few moments in my life where people either intentionally or unintentionally just gave you that confidence or just made you aware that, oh my God, this is possible. And a lot of times you don't believe in yourself because you've just never seen anyone else do it.
Well, the only models are people that are out in Hollywood or New York City, and they're big names, and there's no internet. So, and they're not doing podcasts telling you how they did it. So it's impossible to imagine that you could find that path for yourself as just a kid living in Michigan.
Right.
Yeah.
And nowadays everything is at your fingertips. Like the world is in your hand, and it's just incredible what people can do.
Yeah. All right. So you end up going from college to Wall Street, right? Which is unbelievable. You get this job at Merrill Lynch, but you weren't like an analyst, right? You were in like the IT department or something like that.
So my background, I went to school for engineering. I started with computer engineering, but I was so bad at programming that I was just like, I can't do this. But I was very good at math. I was kind of like almost a math genius. When I was 12, I took calculus, and then math was always easy. I don't think I'm incredibly intelligent. It's almost like when you watch the movies and you see like the guy who just knows how to solve all this stuff. From when I was a young kid, just math was like a language that I just understood. I can't explain it any other way. And so I was always very good at math, and electrical engineering was kind of like the same. Wasn't a passion. I didn't love it, but it was easy for me because was good at math. So I just did that.
That's amazing. Do you think there's an overlap between the skills that you've developed as a mentalist and that math ability?
Yes.
Like it's the same part of the brain?
It's similar because I can engineer things in a certain way, right? Like I imagine if you take a problem and you try to break it apart into little pieces, like a Rube Goldberg machine. You know those things where the mousetrap and then the dominoes and then this and that. So I see that when I watch a Mentalism. Like when I come up with stuff for Mentalism, most of what I do is kind of stuff I've come up with. If you watch the TV appearances, you won't see anyone else doing it because in most cases I've invented it. So I just think, what do I want to happen? What do I want you at the end of this to be like, oh my God, he did this. One sentence that you could tell a 5-year-old and they would understand. And then I go backwards and reverse engineer that Rube Goldberg machine. And that's kind of like a math problem if you think about it. How in the hell could I fool somebody who's intelligent? I'm going to a corporate event tonight with people that have, incredibly successful careers, doctorates. They know what's going on. How am I going to fool them with, in essence, magic tricks? Yeah. But that's my goal. But more than fooling them, it's entertaining. If they're just fooled, then it's kind of a challenge between our egos. I want you to have fun. I want you to leave laughing, enjoying yourself, and wanting to have a drink with me, not being scared of me. So yeah, I think the math stuff really helps me because my memory's very good. Like in a show like that, I will know everything about the whole audience.
Right. And you have this facility and practice of trying to remember everyone's name and kind of scoping everybody and getting as familiar as you possibly can with every individual that's going to be attending the event so that you have a shorthand when it comes to spinning your yarns and doing your thing. Right?
Yeah, like in the Bourne movies, you know what I mean? In Jason Bourne movies, I love
hypervigilance.
The hypervigilance. I like the part with the situational awareness when the first time when he's in the bar or he's in the restaurant, he's like, how come I know that guy's doing this, that person's doing that, and right now I could, run for 6. Like he has this whole line. I love that monologue. I met Matt Damon once on the Today Show and I was like, dude, I love that scene. And that's kind of what you train yourself to be aware of, not 24/7. It's not.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, can you turn it off?
All the time.
Does it drive your wife crazy?
Other things of mine drive my wife crazy. We could have a long list if we interviewed her, but not that part. She would actually be like, why aren't you doing more stuff? Why did you forget the kids had to go to swimming at this time? But no, that's something that it's like a focused, disciplined approach. It's kind of like when you step up to the start line for a race and you're like, focus, you visualize where you're going to be. The same thing approaches when I'm at a show. Like you'll see me before the show walking outside. Like if I'm doing a show at a public, like at a theater, and people watch me, and that's very unusual because most times the performers are backstage. You don't see like the rock star or the comedian before. And I'm walking around, I'm saying hello. I'm just walking and I am watching everybody, everything about them, mannerisms, things like, and that's the time that my team knows you never talk to me in the 15 minutes before a show, because imagine your brain just completely at 100% churning, like everything is going into my brain right then that I'm absorbing and taking in that I'm going to use in the show. And that's it. Like that's the most focused I ever am in my life.
And what are you looking for specifically?
A million things. Like I can't explain what round peg fits in a square. Like when I know what tricks I'm going to do and what routines, I can just sense that's the art. The biggest art is not knowing how to do the things. It's knowing who to pick to do the right thing with. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's why I say it's the director's cut. You're not picking. If you brought me in a casino and said, right now, sit with him, do this poker thing with him, it's not how it works with me. You don't have the constraints. I get to make the choices.
But when you walked into the studio today, were you doing that?
I do it automatically. Yeah, because sure.
Will you tell me what you noticed and kind of filed away that might be useful?
I'll tell you at the end once you've seen what I'm going to do.
All right. That's a deal. Prophets walk among us. As a writer and podcaster for nearly 10 years, I've become more convinced than ever that our world is populated by scores of beautiful and brilliant people who have amazing stories to share. Those that we don't know, who can teach us something new and leave us all the better for the experience of their sharing. And so I've dedicated my career to tracking down the most compelling prophets on the planet, going deep with each of them on my podcast to elucidate the best of what they have to offer and to sharing the insights gleaned for the benefit of all. But the podcast is not the only medium by which to share their stories, which is why I'm proud to announce the release of my new book, Voicing Change Volume 2. More than mere words on paper, Voicing Change is a physical manifestation of the magic, inspiration, and timeless wisdom that transpires each week on the Rich Roll podcast. The first edition of Voicing Change was a beautifully rendered book worthy of display on any coffee table. And Volume 2 follows in that tradition by showcasing even more of my favorite conversations in an elegant publication replete with interview excerpts, essays, and stunning photography, making for an exquisite companion to the first volume or a satisfying standalone work. And every copy comes with a chance of winning our Golden Ticket sweepstakes. 6 golden tickets will be hidden within a handful of books and will unlock a treasure chest of cool gifts donated by several of our sponsors. See official rules for details. Picking up this book allows you to revisit the wisdom of your favorite everyday prophets and physically interact with the life-changing ideas contained within. Voicing Change Volume 2, available now while supplies last for a limited time. Order your copy today only at richroll.com. So there's a couple interesting inflection points. The first one is this sort of dinner party event at Merrill Lynch that kind of changes your life in a pretty material way.
Yeah, so I worked at Merrill Lynch, and it's important to know that my job was I'm this 21-year-old kid who just gets hired as I was an intern and then they hired me. And this was right after 9/11. And in Wall Street, they did this thing called contingency recovery, where you had to move all the operations in case New York got attacked again. The servers wouldn't be gone. You know what I'm saying? That's all the financial data of the world. And so I was the guy who, when they were buying all these servers for hundreds of millions of dollars, I get on the phone with somebody a million times smarter than me. And he goes, I need $8 million to buy all these servers. And I go, you can have $3 million. I was hated. I was a punching bag at the company. So what I ended up doing to sweeten the kind of to soften the blow was I'd go out to happy hours with these engineers that had to talk to me, a 22-year-old, 21-year-old, and make the decisions through me. I was red tape. I would do magic for them. And they would be like, this guy's not so bad after all, right? They would end up loving me, even though they should hate me. Does that make sense?
Right. And then they bite the bullet and pay and take the
right, because it was internal. I kind of managed the servers for the company at the time. I was a project manager. So what I'm saying is word circulated throughout my company, up the rungs, up until about a year after I'm working there. I got hired to do a show for the CFO of the company. He has no idea that I work at this company. He thinks I'm like a professional magician, right? They don't, for some small dinner party for a select crowd. And at the time I did a lot more sleight of hand magic, and I did a trick where I take 5 $1 bills and I snap my fingers and they just turn to hundreds. And he starts laughing. He's like, oh my God, it's obviously, we got to get you working here. He's like an Australian guy. Gotta get you working here, mate.
Ones and hundreds.
Exactly.
Be working in my bank.
Yeah. And everyone laughs. And I go, I do work here. And he thought I was, busting his balls. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I work in your global technology services department, 95 Green. And the guy couldn't believe it. And he just looks me square in the eyes. And I can see it vividly, if you recount a story enough, but also I still see that moment. This is 16 years ago. And he goes, what the hell are you doing working here? And it was literally, like I said, you flip a switch, inflection point, where I just said to myself, what am I doing working here? And it was just because I'd always thought my parents raised me you got to get a job and this is a paycheck.
And you didn't have that guy when you were 16 telling you that. You didn't have that mentor voice.
Not even the mentor voice. The voice in your head's the most powerful. The one telling you you can't do that. Maybe that somebody does that, but that's not you, right? You don't really believe you could be that person. And so I just, at that moment, I went home, and there's a lot of other factors. A lot of things, luck and timing in life, which is I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have any bills that if I, God forbid, something really bad, I couldn't turn it around. Also, it was before the market crashed. If this was in 2009, I probably would have held on to that job for dear life.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Let's do this. I got savings. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'll have to go find another job in a year. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give myself a year. And the scariest part is, and I'd been working, keep in mind I had restaurants. I was hustling. I never didn't hustle.
So the side hustle was going on the whole time you were at Merrill Lynch anyway.
The side hustle got to be to the point where I was working so much that my girlfriend at the time was like, I'm always gone on weekends. I'm doing bar and bat mitzvahs, which are huge in the New York City tri-state area. People spend as much on bar mitzvahs as they do on weddings in other places. And so I was doing all these shows. I was working. I'm either working at my day job or I'm working at night. And I just finally said, I can't do this. You can't jump in a pool just by dipping your toe in. You got to go for it. And you've got to be hungry. So I needed that push to have that day one where I was on the couch and I wake up and I don't have to like go to work.
Yeah.
And no one's calling you or telling you have to do anything. You become your own boss. And that's when it dawns on you. And that first year, I didn't do nearly as well as I did when I was working on Wall Street, where you need to make things happen. And it's kind of like you've got to do it or else no one's going to do it for you.
Right. And so that's 2002,
2005.
2005. Gotcha.
Yep.
So America's Got Talent doesn't happen until 2015.
10 years.
That's a full decade of, doing push-ups and
Takes a
putting in your
decade to be an overnight
10,000
success.
your 10,000 hours, right?
Yep.
Everything good takes 10 years, man.
I
In my
honestly, I believe it.
experience, I've seen it so many times. I've experienced it myself. To develop a level of mastery and command, I really think it takes a decade. And yeah, there's always going to be outliers and people who seem to find a way to shortcut that, but for the most part. But you had tried to get it on the show earlier, right?
I had.
And it didn't work out.
So I wasn't a fan of the show, and then Howard Stern went on, and I have a bunch of friends that are Howard Stern fans. I loved Howard Stern. And when he went on, it kind of like changed it where I was like, I started watching it religiously, and I really enjoyed the show. And I, again, didn't really believe that I could be on the show. It's one of those, I don't know, I'm confident in certain regards, but other regards, it just doesn't always seem like, I don't know how you do that. And I luckily had another TV appearance. And so a TV producer from America's Got Talent, they'll sometimes reach out and they'll say, come on into audition, as opposed to what's known as kind of like a cattle call, where you go in with thousands of people, usually into like a giant warehouse, and you just take a number and you wait. That's what you see on the show when they show you. So the first time I went in, I did a producer's call, which is more of a red velvet rope, come on in, and you go right in. And it went terribly, like terribly, not so much from my own perspective, but the way it was set up. I went into a room. Imagine right now if we went into this room and there was just a camera person and they go, okay, do your thing. And I'm like, I can't do my thing. I'm a mind reader.
You need
like,
a guy.
I need someone whose
right.
mind to read.
Right.
So it flopped badly because it wasn't set up well. And quite honestly, it was a blessing in disguise. And there's always a silver lining. People say that, but in this case, there was, because it's like you said, those push-ups in those years, I didn't go back on for about 3 more years. And those 3 years, I did a huge volume of shows and I got better and better. The more you do it, the more you iterate, the more you see it works, and kind of my persona developed. And when I went back in, I went in not caring. I was going to go in 2 years later, but it was so cold out. It was 15 degrees Fahrenheit with like a wind chill. And I went out there to stand in line, and I stood in line for 3 hours. I was dying. And then I had a show. I thought I was going to be done, and I had to go do a show. And I'm like, screw this. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm done. Like this is, I'm not, and I skipped it. And then the next year I came back. Thank God it wasn't that cold. And I waited for like 7 hours. I did not care. I say that I'm not lying to you when I did not care at all what happened. I went in there like I owned the place, and I killed it, because kind of like actors that do auditions, you hear about actresses that go in, they don't think they're getting the part. So they just are so loose. I was so loose. I walked in, and then I went in, and then I just cracked jokes. I go, guys, we don't even need to do this. You already found the guy who's going to win $1 million. And I was just like completely just let it go, because I really didn't think I was getting on, and they loved it. Right. And that was it. And that was the season that I ended up getting 3rd place.
It is powerful when you don't care.
It's the greatest power you have to say no.
You're that like ability to detach from expectations and results just allows you to flourish in those high pressure moments.
1000%.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe you got 3rd.
Yeah. As in good or bad?
I don't know who. No, I mean, I watched your performances and I was like, who's better than this?
Oh,
like,
thanks, man.
I don't know who. I don't watch the show that much, so I don't know who won and got 2nd that year. But I mean, you had those people eating out of the palm of your hand. I mean, they were going insane. And I would imagine it's very difficult to thread this needle week in, week out. So you have to do 6 performances, right?
It's crazy.
And you can't peak too early. Like you can't blow your best stuff on the first or second one. You gotta, but it has to get better and it has to be good enough so you're gonna make it to the next round. So that's a difficult kind of equation to square.
The highs and the lows of that show, if you ask me, the part of my life, where you live something that's surreal because you lived it, right? But it happened so quick that it almost feels like it was a dream or a movie. The last stages of that show, when you're so in it, and obviously some people watch shows, some people don't, but when it's your life and you're like there, you on a Tuesday, you'll perform live. And it was the #1 show on TV. I don't know if it still is, but it's the #1 TV show in the country and to some de facto in the world, because it's watched on YouTube internationally. You get calls as soon as you get on that show. People call you from all over the world. I was called from 6 continents. And so you perform on Tuesday Night Live, which is its own beast. You can't screw anything up. There's nothing. It's not edited at all. If you screw anything up, you're done.
Yeah.
The next day on Wednesday night, they tell you if you got through. So that Wednesday night, you're on like a high that you just can't believe. Your skin is like, like tingling. And then you have maybe 5 minutes before you walk backstage and the producer goes, okay, great. Tomorrow morning, we got to talk about what you're doing in 6 days. And we're doing a rehearsal in 4 days. And so it's like,
and they need to know, how much do they need to know ahead of time?
Everything.
I mean, you had mentioned earlier that you had to
They know
walk
everything.
them through it. So you have to actually explain to them how you're doing it. So they're
100%.
in on it.
This is the one joy of that show. I call it The Emperor Has No Clothes, is when I do almost every other TV show, I've got two things working with me. I'm trying to fool the audience and entertain the audience at home while also not letting the producer and TV staff know how in the world I'm doing this. Most TV shows you'll go to, they'll be like, I have no idea how he just did that. Like I did Ellen a couple months ago, and I did a thing in the audience. If somebody wants to watch it, I don't want to spoil, but I did almost like a mass suggestion of an entire audience. And at the end of the show, I wish you had a clip of Ellen 5 seconds after the cameras ended, where I go, Ellen, this is your audience. She's done that show for 19 years. She understands that there's 250 people in the audience and that I don't have a way to set anything up with them. Do you understand? It's not, she knows. I go, this is your audience. You know. And she goes, she grabbed me and she goes, I know that. She understands that if you're watching at home, you're saying this is fake. This has to be set up. He must have told those people what to do or like done something, or she knows that those people get loaded in a room. She comes out, there's a warm-up act. There is no way to know who's going to be in that audience. Or do you understand what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
So,
yeah, I mean, I saw the clip.
Yeah, her reaction.
And I think I have a sense of how you led them to that place.
I hope
and
you
everybody
try.
can watch it, or maybe we can cut it into this video so people can see, part of it.
Oh my God, Oz, you're amazing.
Thank you.
You're incredible.
But there are Easter eggs.
Oh,
like if you
I
watch
want
it a
Easter
bunch of
eggs.
times, you can see where a little bit about how you're getting them to arrive in the place you want them to be.
Exactly. And so that's the best part. Yeah, man, I don't know, the AGT stuff, and I didn't plan ahead. So a lot of people that I've talked to, they'll plan ahead. I've consulted, I've like helped other people that are doing the show, because you kind of, once you have an inside track, you can be very helpful to them. And I've found time and again, anyone who plans it, who's like, I'm going to do this in my first round, this in my second round, they don't make it through the first round. Like it's like a football player. If you are thinking about what you're going to do after you catch the ball, how you're going to run and get a touchdown, you end up dropping the ball. So I literally swear on my life, I did not know what I was going to do the next round. All I focused on, 100%, putting the best act together I could for this round. And I also did in the last 3, all original material, which a lot of people don't. They do the stuff they know kills, that they've done hundreds of times. I said, if I'm going to be on this stage, I got to do stuff that's like next level each time and kind of raise the bar.
So you're coming up with new stuff. It wasn't like, I have 6 of my best things.
No.
I'll move them around in this way. And
No
that's
way.
how this is going to play out.
No, two of them at the beginning were my core act, the audition, because you audition with something you've already done. It would be silly to do something you haven't. In fact, the producers, you show them your best thing and they're like, do that on the first show. Right. But the last round, for example, I did this thing with chairs and it was kind of wild where they all sat in chairs. I made that up 5 days before and it was a whirlwind of insanity. I hate and love deadlines because that's where I get creativity. Like 3 days ago, I had a show for a client that's had me 3 times and they need me to do something different. And I complain to my wife endlessly. I'm like, this sucks, but I love it. Secretly inside, I love the fact that I'm going to have to come up with practically a whole new show.
The constraints are what pushes the outer boundaries of creative expression.
I love it.
Yeah. But how do you come up with this stuff? I mean, do you get on the Mentalist hotline and call your Mentalist bros? Like
Somewhat.
How many, first of all, there probably aren't that many of them, right?
They're not enough.
You guys talk to each other and
Totally.
share trade secrets, or is it all proprietary and locked down?
We're not there's a network of people. It's primarily guys. I don't know why. There's a ton of Israeli guys too. It's so weird. I don't know what's in the water.
Yeah, there's a guy called Lior.
Lior Suchard's a good friend of mine. There's so many Israelis for some reason. I don't know why. Also, I don't feel like
that?
David Blaine is Jewish. David Copperfield is Jewish. I don't know what's in the water, but somehow this religion has been drawn into this profession. I don't know how to explain it. There's plenty that aren't too, but I'm just saying it's a weird, I don't know. Uri Geller is like one of the original mentalists. The guy who used to bend spoons and got debunked on Johnny Carson. But there's a network of people I bounce ideas off of, and there's sounding boards. And there's some elements that I make up a lot of the stuff myself. Some of it is kind of, you have a set of tools. Think of it as, I'm trying to think of the close thing. It's almost like an artist. You have watercolors. I have this paint. I have this medium. And now how do I put those together? Some people use the tools to create the finished product. I start with the finished product in my head. Like when I did that Ellen appearance, I knew exactly what I wanted the end to be. That moment where an entire audience all simultaneously does something unbelievable together, That's what I wanted to finish on.
Yeah.
I backwards engineered the rest of it to create layers and to hopefully have something that's like a fully formed piece where every piece connects, almost like a movie with callbacks. Like a great comedy routine has callbacks to the beginning as well.
Right. And every word that's coming out of your mouth is completely well thought out, even though when I'm watching you, it looks like you're just spontaneously responding to what's going on.
It's both. So it's exactly that. It's scripted in a way that I know where I want to end up, but at the same time, I'm juggling while on a motorcycle. I don't know what's going to happen. It's the ultimate rush when you do those types of shows because I like if you watch on some of these shows, my show, people throw frisbees in the audience. I do everything in my power to make sure you know. Like I've done shows at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas where we literally shoot t-shirts in the crowd. You do not know who will catch that when they stand up and I'm going to read their mind. Because the first thought you think if you watch my show is this is set up. This is like he went and talked to that person and paid them or told them. That's what I would think if I'm watching. So if I say, Ellen, you go pick anyone in your audience right now, stand them up, and I'm going to tell them the name of their first kiss. Wow, right? Like that's a legit, like I didn't set that up. How could I? So I try to reduce every possible way you think I could do it. As soon as you've got one, I say, you know what? I know what you're thinking right now. You did it by this way. So let's make sure I can't do it and let's try it this way instead.
There's an interesting relationship between this obsession that you have with this and kind of the rush of being on a doing this high wire act, because I'm sure there are certain people, like when someone's picked from a huge audience, that you know full well, oh, this person's going to be putty for me. And other people where you're like, this guy's going to be a fucking problem.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that not knowing like has to be frightening, but it's almost like gambling, right? It's a weird kind of exciting dynamic to live in. And the stakes are high for you because it's your reputation and this is what you do for a living and people have an expectation that you're going to be able to pull this off.
It's almost also like a therapist too, because when you say that, when this person's going to be difficult for me, why are they difficult for me? So you think about dynamics. What dynamic am I creating between that person? Do they want attention? Like a lot of people, if they heckle and they want to figure you out, what is it that's the core need that you're actually doing? Do they want to be included? Do they want to be a part of it? Do they want to be shown to be dominant to me? If you're looking at kind of an alpha, if you walk in a room, how do you diffuse that tension? It's so nuanced. It's kind of dissecting what a person's core need is. And then a lot of it is changing people's memory. Like most of my job I describe as making memorable moments, and people's memory is malleable. So what people think they saw is very different than what they remember and what they tell others. And I've been working on that for 20 years, is knowing how you will describe what I do to somebody else. And that's something you think is, well, how could you affect that? That's all I do. Every word, linguistics, timing, pausing, doing certain things, like knowing exactly where your eyes will go and what you'll do in a certain moment. When your moment in your mind, if I ask you to think of something, that moment when I go, okay, have you got it? And when I say and determines when you will change your mind or if you'll stick with it or not. People don't believe half the things I do. If you knew how I do it, you'd be like, I can't believe I fell for that. And the other half, you go, that's not possible. That it hugs the line of being absurdly easy and absurdly difficult.
Right. So when you're asking somebody to think of a certain person or what have you, you have already laid the groundwork, kind of leading them to a place where they're much more likely to, pick the person that you want them to pick because of all these verbal cues that you've kind of seeded in that. I think, was it with Al Roker where you kind of worked in a Taylor Swift song title into whatever you were saying to him? Little things like that that you're kind of consciously unaware of, but work on your unconscious mind and lead you to make a decision that you thought was random,
right?
Which is disturbing on some level. We could have a broader conversation about free will, like the fact that people are so easily manipulated and you're so capable at doing it. Is a little upsetting. Right. You know what I mean?
use my powers only for good. Can we put that out there, gang?
But you could be a character on that TV show, The Boys, and sort of weaponize. It's basically like bad superheroes doing bad things.
Oh, got it.
They're full of ego and greed and what have you. But you could weaponize this.
You could. Well, I mean, it is weaponized.
I'm sure people do.
They do.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you what is and isn't possible, but I watch a lot of psychics and people that do various types of readings and talk to the dead. And I'm watching them, and I can't tell you for a fact they're not doing what they say. I'm not going to pop anyone's bubble about what's supernatural, but I watch people that are telling you things about loved ones that are gone and things like that, that while I watch them, I go, I could do everything they're doing better than them right now. And I'm doing it through means that have nothing to do with supernatural. Like I don't have a skill that you couldn't possess if you were willing to train for 20 years.
So when you're doing this, you're paying attention to nonverbal communication, like physical tics. You're trying to plant ideas in people's heads, making subtle suggestions. What is, talk to me a little bit with, to the extent that you're comfortable divulging, like the kind of human psychology piece here. Like, what are you looking at specifically? Like eye movements and the way people move their hands and whether they get flushed in their face or look away or look at you. Like I know just habitually when I'm trying to think of what I want to say next in a conversation like this, I kind of go, I like my head tips up
Right.
and then I see, like I watch, why are you doing that? It's like, I'm not even consciously aware of this, of the many, many things that I persistently do that are just habitual that I'm sure are clues to you. You're looking at somebody, you're like, okay, where is that person and how can I move them in this direction? What are the key things that you're looking for?
So it sounds like it's so simple that you can just have people do things. Most of it is just reducing tension and building rapport. Think of it this way. When somebody gets relaxed around you and they're having fun and they're enjoying themselves, they let down their guard. And that's when you get a lot more out of them, just in a relaxed way. I think of that movie, Talladega Nights. You remember Ricky Bobby's like, I don't know what to do with my hands right now. Like when people are uncomfortable, they don't know. So a lot of it is kind of, I get people to drop their guard, relax, and then I don't want to say they acquiesce because you think I'm planting thoughts in their head throughout. A lot of it is reading kind of what people are doing. Like if you're getting a choice, I'm going to guide you towards a choice or I'll see what you'll pick, or I kind of work with you in a way that seems impossible to know what you would have done in a situation.
But I have to be relaxed in order to be malleable for you, right? Because if I'm hyper conscious of what I'm doing right now. Because I'm like, this guy's looking at me and he's trying, so it's like, I'm like, what am I doing?
Rich is flexing for the people listening to the podcast, just flexing the whole time.
I'm like, what am I doing with my hands? But you have to get me to a place where I am not thinking about that anymore.
Yeah, but
and that becomes natural. And then those movements and patterns become like a window.
You'll think it's happening at the wrong time. So the thing is, you'll think, okay, so right now he's trying to read me. And then when you relax and stuff, that's when we kind of do stuff. And so it's the same as, you know what? I would say that most people do it with their kids and their spouse in a certain way. And I know it. It's not a manipulation. It's, when people are the most suggestible and the ways to kind of influence them. Like my wife knows that the best way to get me to do something is a test of pride. If I need to go clean something or build something outside and she says, I don't want to do that, but she goes, there's no way you can get that done in under an hour.
Right.
It's kind of like the trick I use on my 5-year-old. She knows that I am a 5-year-old at my core, and I'll be like,
I
can.
have lizard brains.
I'm a lizard brain. Yeah. I don't think I've advanced beyond the age of like 14. I'm 14 going on 40, but at the core, there's still ways that she knows how to work me over. My family knows how to work me over, whether it's guilt or whether it's a sense of, can you achieve a record? And in my profession, I'm trying to find ways when I'm performing with somebody to either loosen them up, which isn't always the case. Like I did a show in Aventura, Florida a week ago, and I guess this guy's bank PIN code. And it was the best reaction. It's the best because the guy was so tough and didn't want to do it. And everybody knows him from this company. It was awesome. And he didn't even react at the end, like that I got it right.
He wouldn't give it up.
No. It was the best. He just looked and he had a mic and he goes, screw you. And he just sat down and it's the best. It's the best. It's, like you're not always going to get the, oh my God. And it was just, things like that are great. And it was funny because as I do it, I actually show people how I'm doing it. I go, look, you said this number. And so in your mind, you thought, because I made him lie. I do a lot of stuff where I explain to people, how do you detect if someone's lying? Now, it's not 100%, but how can you see things when someone's lying? And then how do you deconstruct the lie? So if I tell someone, think of a color, but tell me a different color. Generally, if they tell me a different color, I can actually tell them, or a number. If they lie, I can tell you what you actually thought of based on how you lied. And so I showed the audience how to do it in a very simplistic way, something they could kind of try later, just in this context, not something we could do right this second because it was a finance company. But I'm saying that guy did not want to be in it. Like it literally, I had somebody pick that didn't want to, but that doesn't matter in a certain way. It's not like I'm hypnotizing him to cluck like a chicken. There was nothing embarrassing. He had a ton of fun with it. He was the star of the night, but I was still able to read him because he falls into patterns. It's kind of like knowing people's behaviors. Have you ever done those personality tests that explain to you what your emotional language is?
Sure.
Right? Am I a love language? Am I I don't remember them all because they don't fit into my shows much, but you know what you need to kind of get your own, like, what's the word I'm looking for, to whatever satisfies your,
Right.
is it ego?
But
is it pride?
essentially, you're looking for there's a certain number of
Archetypes.
archetypes, right? So you have the skeptic, you have, I imagine like the skeptics, and then the people who are really ready to have a good time. Those are the most gratifying.
Yep.
And then there's, some people probably that, make it challenging for you.
The honestly, I told you, the apathy. Somebody who kind of looks at you kind of like, oh, this is a clown, or they're not interested, then I feel the need to pull them in. And sometimes I don't want to win that battle. Like I will entice you. Like I hope that when you see a show like this, it's entertaining, but I can't overwhelm somebody who's just kind of not into it.
How much of this derives from NLP, like neuro-linguistic programming?
There's some, and it helps, but you can't do that with everybody. You know what I mean? Some of that stuff, it's something that works for 60 or 70% of the population in certain instances is not reliable. It's kind of one tool in an arsenal.
There was this article that I came across in Forbes, the title of which was how your body, it's 5 ways your body language gives you away.
Yep.
And it's this article, about what you do. And amongst this list of 5 things, there was some pretty interesting stuff. Like one of them was, when your eye movements go up and to the left, then you're accessing part of the brain that stores memories.
Yep.
When it does the opposite, up and to the right, then you're accessing imagination, and the person is sort of constructing an idea or a memory, right?
You can tell someone's
those are
changing
things
their
that
mind.
You would be trying to pay attention to.
You can also tell how far back someone's thinking in time. So if somebody thinks of a memory, you can actually, almost like watching a processor on a computer. If it takes longer, it's a big program that takes open. You can tell certain things about like, oh, they just thought of something from 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Or, oh, they just thought of one person and they just changed to another person. And I can tell if you thought of a guy and then you changed to a girl. Like there's certain things that once you see them, it's almost if you just watched a TV show and it showed you, these are the 10 ways this plays out and they're going to work 90% of the time, and you memorize them and did them over and over and over, you could actually learn certain things that you go, well, wait, you're reading their minds. You're not. Your face is telling you something that your brain is doing because your body's connected.
Right. I would love to have you sit down with and Dr. Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist, because there's something interesting about the neuroscience of the way the brain works and how the neurons are firing that overlaps in the Venn diagram of human behavior and what you're paying attention to that I think could be really fascinating.
That would be cool.
Like the neuroscience of mentalism.
I would love that. Get some analysis of some of it and do something crazy for him and then kind of have him deconstruct.
Right. I mean, what has it taught you beyond what we've already talked about the nature of human behavior and the malleability of it and, how personality works and the like? Like you must understand so deeply, about the kind of operating manual, the operating system of the human animal.
Do you like to play ping pong?
Kind of.
So the reason I ask is I love ping pong.
Yeah.
I like the meditative quality. I'm not great at it, but I'll play ping pong. And you know how sometimes you get into a series, there's other things like it. Running is similar, but it's not as quick. Running is kind of like you can zone out and you get into that zone, not a runner's high, but where you forget. Have you ever just forgotten 10 miles of a run, 20 miles of a run? I don't even remember I just ran.
Right. You realize you just said, forgot 20 miles of a run. Like most people are going to get angry.
Yeah. I know who I'm talking to here. A fellow kind of insane guy. So during ping pong, I will have things where I don't know how I just landed that shot. I literally don't know what my brain did, where there's instinct. And so I think you operate on a level of instinct and muscle memory, the muscle in this case being your mind, that I will do things in performances that I will try afterwards to be like, how did I know that? Do you understand what I'm saying? I can't tell you the answer. And I don't believe I'm reading minds. I really want to be clear. I don't have a superpower. This is nothing supernatural. But if you've done this, it's just like a tennis player. I've seen Federer do shots that I don't think are humanly possible, or Novak or any of these people. And so the same thing applies in my world where I'll have moments where I guess something and I go, you right now just did this. And they go, huh? And I go, I don't know how I did that. Like, I won't know how I did that. And it's just because I've seen it before and I went on my gut and I went with the instinct. And here's the thing. People amplify things that are correct. They forget things that are wrong. So in my profession, I get credit when I hit things that are right. Like people go, oh my God. Like if you'll hear a story from somebody that might've seen me 10 years ago and you're not going to believe he did this and this and this. Some of that might not be true because their memory's a little different because I kind of change things up in their mind and how they remember it. But other times I might have nailed something that in 20 other instances I got wrong, but people remember the big hits. They remember that moment when they won the lottery, not the 5 years that they picked numbers and they were wrong.
Have you had any colossal fails?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
So
what was the worst, most disastrous failure?
So I mean, the thing
It's got to be like nerve-wracking.
it's so nerve-wracking. So when you're on live TV, that's the biggest, that's the, like, there's no safety net, because live TV, there's no, if I'm wrong, this is the best way to explain it. If I'm wrong, I can unwind out of it sometimes if I have more time, because I just need more time to get back to the bottom of what it is that happened, right? I just need more time to try and figure it out. And so on live TV, usually
They're
a hard
short.
stop. If
Yeah,
you do the
right.
Today Show, been on there like 20 times, there's a clock. And when that clock hits 0, there's a commercial. So if you're going to screw things up, like, that's it, you're done. So I don't have the time. So I'm so focused, it's like laser. And that's why you see me talking fast, because I know I have to get to a certain end goal. And when I do a stage show, it's much more free flowing because I have fun, I have time.
Right. And you have strategies to find your way. Like if it's going sideways, to like course correct, and
I've
move it
already
back
thought
on
them
track.
through.
Right.
Like if you watch that Ellen thing, at every single juncture, there's one of those diagrams, yes, no, maybe, that like creates a pattern. I don't know what those are called exactly, but I have a chart in my mind of everything that could go wrong at this moment, how I will address it, what will happen next. And very few of them end in you're screwed. Like I've always got a path out in my mind of how I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
On colossal failures have generally been things that are outside of my control. Like, for example, I did a show one time, this was in like South Carolina or somewhere, where it's generally like a corporate event. They bring me on stage. They're going to have a smoke machine. Didn't know there was going to be a smoke machine. There's going to be a CEO popping out of a life-size genie lamp. Didn't know this was going to happen. And just all these things went wrong, where the smoke machine didn't stop. There's smoke on stage. I can't see the person whose mind I'm trying to read. Trick goes south. Just things where you just leave the stage. The worst thing that can ever happen is when a TV producer or the client comes up to you and they go, "Oh man, I'm so sorry about that." Like they feel bad because they know you're better than this, and you're just crushed because you tanked. And there's, I don't know, things like that. There's been failures on my part, but I don't know. There's a few that I can think of that like were gut punches, where I left the stage and I'm like, oh. And generally people feel worse for you. They feel okay about it. Like do you understand? They feel bad for you, not like they're not mad at you. They're just like, we know you're better than this.
Yeah.
But yeah, bombing in front of thousands of people.
But you got to bomb if you're going to, it's like a stand-up comedian. Like you have to know where the edge is, right?
You have to touch that line,
And
or
the
else
only
you're
way
not
to
growing.
know that is if you cross it once in a while.
I love stand-up. Stand-up comedy is my favorite thing to watch. You know how kind of like movie stars want to be rock stars want to be movie stars. My dream is like, I always wished I was a stand-up comic. Like it's the most pure thing in the world.
You must be approached by CEOs and businessmen who are like, I need a little bit of that magic when I go to my next negotiation or where I have to go to this board meeting. Like, how do I get people on my page, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of tangential to your act and what you do as a mentalist, but this skill of understanding people and how to guide them towards this result is very powerful. And I think is something that, a lot of people would pay a lot of money to better understand. Like to be like a consultant.
It's something that I would consider as kind of like an act 2. Like I love performing. I really, it fills a void, and it's a rush for me. I'm in the corporate space. Most of my clients are Fortune 500 companies, and that's most of what I do.
Usually you're always wearing a suit. It's all very family friendly. It's all about making whoever hired you look like a superstar. Like that's all very consciously plotted out.
Fully. When I went on America's Got Talent, I saw it as a commercial. They've just given me a TV commercial that, if I'm lucky enough, will be over 45 minutes of me, maybe even an hour if you add it all up, on primetime TV with millions, hundreds of millions of eyeballs. What do I want somebody to watch and think? Because they don't know who I am.
Right.
And so that show is so great at crafting a narrative. And for me, it was like the Wall Street guy. The guy who left Wall Street had a career that should have been very fruitful, left it to take a chance on a dream. And then that's it. Like I do appeal to that crowd because honestly, I know their industry. I know most industries really well. I study. If I go in and do something for a company that does, finance, or if they do some sort of multinational product, pharmaceutical, anything, I will know their product inside and out to the point where they go, you could work for us. That's my goal, is to be somebody on their team, not just performing with them, but like not for them, but with them. So yeah, that was very on purpose to do the suit and be corporate, just because I don't want to be edgy. I'm not swearing in my shows or putting people down.
You're the Jim Gaffigan of Mentalists.
I've worked with Jim many times. Amazing guy. Love Jim.
Well, back to America's Got Talent. So you do your 6 performances. They all go well. You end up 3rd. Of all those judges, though, who was the most difficult? Like, who was the biggest challenge among the panel? I mean, Howard called you like a dark wizard. Right?
So I ran into Howard Stern this summer. in Long Island. And it was funny because I was out running and he's got a place near me in Southampton, and I'm running around I see him, and he's easy to spot.
Sure.
He's very tall. And he's notoriously kind of germophobic, and it's COVID, and I didn't want to go near him, but I had to say something, and it's actually, we're on a track. And I just run by and I say, Howard, I got to say, thank you, man. You changed my life. And he didn't instantly recognize me, but then I was on America's Got Talent. I was O's, and he knew. He's like, right away, he goes, oh my God, the Mentalist. Like, he remembered very vividly about it. He was with his wife, and I kind of walked. He was a few laps over. I walked a lap with them, just talking about how much it changed my life, because that show is so different than being on any other show. If you go on like Jimmy Fallon or something that traditionally is like, you think that's making it, people aren't emotionally invested. When somebody watches a sport team, you have your team that you root for. So something about America's Got Talent, the people that like it, a lot of people watch it with their family. It's, there's not a lot of stuff on TV that transcends ages. You can have your 6-year-old and it's going to be appropriate, and you could have your 86-year-old grandma there. And so people decide who their money horse is. And early on, a lot of people just got very emotionally invested in me. I don't know. And so I'll meet people to this day who are like, yo, I voted for you. And it's just wild how much people will root for you. And so I think of the judges, I had great rapport with everybody. I feel like Heidi and I had a great dynamic. Mel B was Mel B is hard to correct, because certain people, when you say they're kind of a free spirit, and you don't know what will happen in the moment. And when you're on live TV like that, and you ask somebody to think of something, like, oh my God, I don't know. And she's changing her mind like 8 times. And it's not that I mind that, because I know she's going to do that. Like, I'm anticipating. It's that I'm on a clock. And so with people like that, I have to create a different dynamic, because I need them to stop changing their mind where I want them to. And she's going on her own tangent. And so you have to start creating, like, it's like a game of chess. It's just like chess, but I'm playing 7 moves in advance with somebody that doesn't know I'm playing them. And so I'm playing a game of chess with somebody where I have to control it, and I have to like do something that jolts her brain in a way that she stops, and we go back to what I need. I don't want to say it because it sounds like a manipulator, but I'm controlling what you will do inside your brain through a lot of different physical, verbal, and nonverbal communications. And she's very hard to do that with.
Yeah. The one kind of standout thing that you did with her was have her write down someplace that she went on vacation with a certain individual. And it's got to be tricky because these are celebrities and you can Google this stuff, right? So you have to pick something or get them to, kind of engage in an experiment that's not going to be anything that's on the internet or discoverable online.
Right. Like, think about this, just visualizing something in your brain and where your brain would go. What, like, you've done Ultramans, right? What other, have you done Ironmans as well?
No.
Never an Ironman. It's so funny. Jumped right to the big one.
Yeah.
So what was your PR at the Ironman? Or the Ultraman, I apologize. Do you remember it?
The total time?
It's consolidated,
it's like,
right?
You do 3 days. Yeah, the total time, I don't know, it was like 23, 24 hour. I can't remember. I don't know.
Do this. So
I remember some of the individual day times or...
Imagine this. I don't know if you're PRing, but this is just visualize. I want you to see this is the way your brain works. Visualize you crossing that finish line. And you've done that how many times?
Twice.
So imagine a third time. And now this is in your brain. Just play this out in your mind. I just want you to see how your brain would work on this. Not a trick. You cross the finish line.
And you say not a trick.
No, it's not.
Because I'm tied to this. I don't trust you.
I want you to imagine you cross the finish line, and right at that moment, somebody takes a photo of you, and you just go, now, did you go fast? Did you not? I don't know how the clock works, but tell me a very specific time. What would you have seen the time be above your head when you crossed that finish line? Would it have been faster than the last one you did, or slower?
Faster.
Right? Because everybody wants faster. Are you sure though? Are you sure?
Yeah.
What would the time be exactly? How many hours?
Well, this would be, should I tell you? Want me to just
I want to know how you thought about it.
So the time would be for the double marathon.
No, not the double. I want to, okay, great.
Because the third day is a 52-mile run. So it just displays the time for that segment of the race.
Perfect. So what would you have seen it say above you?
7:28.
7 hours and 28 minutes?
Yeah.
On the dot?
00. Yeah.
7 hours, 28 on the dot. You crossed as it went to that. So why did you do that? I'm curious.
Why did I say
Why
that
did you
number?
just say that right now? Yeah.
Well, I remember in 2009, I if memory serves me, I ran it in 7:51 or something like that. So I was thinking, well, if I was going to do it faster, and then I just randomly picked that number.
You think so, right?
Right.
So the interesting part is you'll say to yourself throughout, like, could I have done that? Or that's impulsive. I just want everyone to know, because I want you to know the way your brain works. Did you feel influenced in any way?
I didn't feel influenced. I probably was influenced in some way.
And then at the end, when I say it, because it's the best part, because everybody knows that when we cross those finish lines, how often do we hit the nail on the head? Because it would piss me off if I was trying to get under a time. Like if I want to be under 2:30 and I went 2:30.00, I know people that's happened to them. Or like I know a guy who went 3 hours on the dot and it eats at his soul. And you said 7:28. And then I said to you, are you sure on the dot? And you said, yes, 7:28.00.
Yes.
I just want you to remember you said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some kind of crazy bullshit is coming my way. I have a feeling. I would really like to be on the Mentalist group chat.
The Mentalist group chat?
Yeah. Is there such a thing?
There are WhatsApp groups. How do you break into that one?
I don't know.
The problem is that it's almost like it's very
Encrypted, I
acronym heavy, so that you'd be looking at it, you'd be like, I don't understand what any of this stuff is saying that they're saying. So it'd be very funny to note it.
What is your take on like the Hollywood treatment of mentalism? Like there was the TV show with Simon Baker-Denny, The Mentalist. And then did you see Nightmare Alley?
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet?
Man, so don't
How
say
have
anything.
you not seen this movie?
I know it's about a mentalist. You're killing me.
Bradley Cooper is playing a mentalist.
I know. I listened to a podcast interview.
The tradition, like the rooted, early tradition of this art.
I'll make the only excuse. I have 3 young kids and I travel so much that when I'm home, I'm like, it's just recent that like the I don't want to call it post-COVID, jinx ourselves. But is it on planes? I didn't see it today.
Well, you can I think it's streaming. You can download it.
I've got to do that. I haven't seen any movies in a while. It's not that I don't love media, but I end up getting enticed when my wife picks a show. And then if we have some hours together, I just that's
right.
Yeah, by the end of the night, I'm like, we're
but
crashing.
You probably saw the TV show, The Mentalist, right?
Of course, yeah. I did a promo spot one time for it as like the real life mentalist. And I said, I'm not nearly as handsome, not as good of hair, or Australian. But so that show is it's exactly this. It's amplified. It's like anything where they do a doctor show.
Solving a crime every week.
Right. It's not like Baywatch where every time somebody falls, you do CPR and they come back to life. But they had little points in it that were true. And they had little things, they kind of overdid it, where there's little points where you watch him like tap someone on the shoulder right when he says something, and that kind of inserts. I don't really do a lot of hypnosis in my show. There's people that are really great at hypnosis, and that's amazing to see. But there are overlaps between hypnosis, auto-hypnosis, which I think a lot of people don't realize they're doing to themselves. You have a voice in your head telling you things all the time that's incredibly powerful, and that's kind of, it's like the way you model things. Why did I never think that I could do this professionally? Because I never knew that you could. But if you're, as a kid, being told that you can do certain things over and over, then you don't even have that voice in your head telling you can't. You're like, of course I could do this. It's like you said, now people can go on YouTube and find someone that does what they do. So there's a lot of that going on in the show where I kind of reframe what you're going to do. You'll see. There's something funny about what you just said where you'll realize later, like, how did he get me to think that?
Have you ever been like approached by NYPD to come in and help them solve a crime?
No, not yet. Not yet. I don't know if they want me on the crime scene. That could either do. I've had one bad moment where I had like kind of bad press, but it wasn't my name was in it, where there was a government agency that used me, but like in an event. And it was when they brought a mentalist and they never said my name, not for anything, like not to solve any crimes, but they were like kind of told because the optics of it don't look good. Right. But I knew it was me because I knew what the thing that they were talking about. And they're like, I'm glad they didn't say my name.
So many career trajectories for you, O's, if this stage thing doesn't work out.
Right? I would love a sales training or anything like that, coaching in the future, because I think that a lot of the skills I have are soft social skills that they're used in the guise of entertainment. But what does everybody want in life in general? You want to be remembered, right? You want to walk into a room and command attention and stand out, because all of those things, no matter what you're doing, right? Everybody is selling in essence. Doesn't matter what you're selling. You could be a teacher. You're selling an idea to your students, right? Everybody's selling something to other people. Even if you work alone, at some point, that's why when you asked me if I'm a salesman, like I think so, yes. I think everybody's a salesperson in some regard. And it's just knowing how to connect with others in a certain way is always useful.
So what are some of those things? If someone's listening to this, maybe they are a teacher or they've got to make a presentation to their boss. What are some simple things that you could impart to somebody who can start to think about, how to present themselves in a way that's going to allow them to, succeed?
Some of the biggest ones are the simplest, and they're ideas that you just think that can't be right. But listening and truly listening is something that we don't do very often. We're so distracted nowadays that you don't actually take things in, I find. When people ask me, how do you memorize everyone's names? There's no mnemonic. I'm not doing a trick. I am just listening to every person. And then I have a few techniques to get it back to them so that I know it's kind of been like imprinted on my brain. But most people, when you meet them, think about it. As you're shaking their hand or saying hello or doing anything, you're thinking of something else in your brain. You're thinking what you're going to say to them, or your mind is elsewhere. If your mind was 100% locked in, imagine if you met, I don't know, somebody you admire, respect, somebody that you've always wanted to meet. In that moment, every part of your brain would be hyper-focused. Like I met Steven Spielberg. I remember everything. I remember what he was wearing. I remember how he smelled, everything, because it was such an incredible moment in my life. Imagine if every time you met somebody, it felt like that. So it's not going to, but you can create an awareness. And when you really listen to people, I think it opens them up. And that's part of my job is I just sit there, I deliver jokes, I do other things, but when it comes to listening, I listen to everything they say because most people give things away they don't even realize.
How do you practice that though? Like what is a technique for,
The names,
cultivating that level of like, presence and focus?
So something easy at a dinner party. Let's say you go to some dinner party coming up and you just want to test yourself. How am I going to remember all these people's names? Oh my God, I met 6 new people. And it happens in quick succession. So what I do is every single time I meet somebody, I try to create some sort of comment. So a compliment is the best. I'll be like, oh my God, Casey, how do you spell that? Is that K-A? And when they spell it, you spell it back to them. That helps tremendously. You're not going to spell everybody's name. If you meet them, it's a little weird, but sometimes a great compliment. Like, oh my God, I love those glasses. Rich, did you get those glasses? I got to get those too, Rich. You say the name twice and it makes you remember the name if you can. There's a few, honestly, just try the next time you do it to clear your mind. Don't think of anything. And as you hear their name, say it to yourself 3 times. You'll be shocked. Somebody who's forgetful as can be will do this and they'll try it. And the first day they do it, they'll remember 3 people's names very well. Yeah. Now it's different if you want to remember their name long-term, right? Because right now what you've done is you've done a like impression in the sand. When the ocean comes by, it's going to wash it away.
Yeah, you need it for the next 30 minutes. I mean, I started doing that out of necessity just because I meet so many people and
it's awkward if you go in there.
It's like, and I've been in that situation, like signing books or whatever, and they say their name and then I have to sign their name and I can't remember what they just said.
It happens to everybody. It happens to me too. It's such a bad feeling.
So I was like, I can't allow that to happen. So just, intuitively, I was like, starting to do that just so I could be in that headspace.
Yeah.
But it's tricky because you don't want to if you start saying the name of the person too much,
right?
Then it's not good.
It's awkward. Yes.
Yeah. Then you really sound salesy.
I think the listening is one of the big elements that can help people, just a very quick, easy one. It's a muscle. It's like anything else that you become a better listener. I think you become better as a parent, as a spouse, as a sibling. Like most people don't really practice it because what you're doing is trying to wait for your turn to speak. Right? It's almost like the Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'll go back and read that book again. And it's from, I don't know, almost 100 years ago now. I don't know the publication date, but I find gems in there that are so obvious over and over as to, it's what you said earlier, benefits oriented. It's better in a podcast situation. It's difficult because I'm here to talk about myself, but I try to deflect when people ask me about what I do all the time and learn more about what they do and see what's intriguing about them. What's the topic that's most vital to them? Is it their family? Is it their career? And the more I learn about them, the more they open up to me and the more comfortable they are around me. And that's kind of like when I do the cocktail hour. When you said, when I'm at a theater and I'm walking around, I'm saying hello, I don't want someone to be starstruck. I go, oh my God, you saw that TV show. What did you think? I go, tell me this. What would you do if you were on there? Or what did you think of? I'll just find some way to ask a question that deflects from talking about me and to get a little more of them and try to open them up. Because that's the best way to kind of cut the ice, cut the tension. And that's in a setting where I'm trying to read their mind later. I don't want them to be on guard.
Yeah.
I want to find things that are interesting to them. Like if I ask you about a memory of your own, like doing a race that you dedicated your life to for 2 years to get to that point, you get focused on yourself. You start forgetting that I'm trying to, watch you and look at what you're doing. You kind of, that's it. You asked me earlier,
right?
How do I make you relax? Well, I found a way.
Let's talk about running.
Yeah.
So when does the running thing start to work its way into your life?
So I have twin older sisters. They're about 7.5 years older. And there was always a little bit of, because I was a baby brother, I don't want to say sibling rivalry, but I always wanted to kind of have some sort of one-upsmanship on my older sisters. And in 2004, I'm working like a day job. I think a lot of people fall into this trap where you start going out to happy hours, you're eating like crap. You don't feel good. Like I didn't really feel as good. I was letting myself go in a way, and just unhealthy lifestyle choices. And I was missing a goal. listen, this is a very comfortable thing to say, but I found life boring in a way because it became very repetitive. And listen, these are very first world problems. There's people that don't have food, that don't know how to pay their next bill. I didn't have that issue, but I wanted a challenge. And I think a lot of people are drawn towards endurance sports because there is no challenge. It's something is lacking. I want that illusion of danger, or whatever you want to call it, challenging myself, seeing what my medal is. So my sister signed up for a marathon. I thought this was insane because in 2004, it wasn't mainstream. Not everyone was doing marathons. So I, on a whim, signed up for a marathon. Somebody tells me, well, you should do the Boston Marathon. I go, okay, how do I do that? And they're like, well, you have to qualify. I'm like, well, okay, how do I? So you have to run one really fast. So I reverse engineered. I found out what the Boston Marathon time is. And I go, I'm going to run that. Not knowing that you have to kind of be fast to do that. So then I started running on a treadmill, didn't read any books about like, how should you train? And I did a calculator, I probably did in my head. I'm like, this is how many miles per hour this is. So I just set the treadmill.
So I'm just going to run that pace
all the time.
For every run.
Yeah. And so that didn't work well because that was a little too fast. And later on, I learned what heart rate training was and what have you. So I do the first marathon. I have some fitness in me. I end up running that pace for about 17 miles. I did Philadelphia Marathon.
Right.
And then I just fall apart like traditional.
It's the classic story. 17 miles, 17, 18.
Dude, you hear that noise? That's me hitting the wall. I was like crying pretty much at mile 21. And at one point I'm just walking and I'm so broken. And I see these two guys walking in front of me. Everyone else is running because I was going pretty fast. So at that point, it's like the Walking Dead where I am. Little did I know that once you start doing ultras, that's the real Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But I see these two guys walking that are about 200, 300 yards ahead of me, really far. And so I get enough energy to be like, I'm going to run to them and I'll walk the rest of the run with them. Like I'll walk. So misery loves company. So I run for like 30 seconds and I'm getting within like the point where I can hear them. And I see these two guys. I don't know who they are to this day, but I hate them and I love them. They looked at each other, they nodded and they started running. And I literally screamed out loud, F you, because I was so mad. Like, why did you start running? And I got this adrenaline that I kept running from that point on. And I actually ran the rest of the race slow, mind you. Somebody could fact check it. I don't know. I ran like 320 something, 325, 320 something, but I was hooked.
Yeah.
My sister did one marathon and was like, never again. I did that one. And I was like, I'm going to read how to train. I love this. And then I started getting into it and I started chopping time and getting faster and faster and faster. I did Ironmans.
Yeah.
Because again, I feel like you have some nutcase friend who's into this. I had a buddy at the time, Michael Arnstein.
I know Michael.
The fruitarian.
Yeah. I've had him on the show.
Yeah.
Early days.
Early days. I saw Michael.
Back in his office in New York.
Yeah. I know that office well. I had my 30th birthday party there.
Yeah.
And so I met him. We both read books. Dean Karnassus was like a huge inspiration. Giannis Kouros, like Scott Jurek. I started reading these books and it was like a gateway drug where we did a marathon. We each signed up for a 50 miler together. We were supposed to do the 50 miler together the first time. And at mile 3, he dropped me and ran ahead. I was like, Judas. I ended up passing him later. But then, you read about Western States. So I'm like, I got to do Western States and then Leadville. And then I ended up doing Badwater and just all of these. It's a whirlwind. Every single time before I did a lot of these races, I met somebody who did Badwater. I thought they were insane. But then suddenly you meet them and you're like, I guess it's not that insane. Like that person did it. Like I could probably do it. And so everything became possible at a certain point because you realize it isn't impossible. Other people have done it. And I guess that was the challenge.
Yeah, that's wild. So you've done Badwater, Western States, Spartathlon.
Spartathlon's amazing. If anybody hears this and is into running or wants something, man, Spartathlon is just epic. Did
you do that with Arnstein?
We did it twice. It's on YouTube. The videos are incredible. Yeah.
How's Michael doing?
I think he's doing well.
Is he doing good?
Yeah. He had
I know that I haven't talked to him in many years, but I know that he would run. He lived like in the suburbs.
Yeah. He'd run 50 miles to and from his office.
He'd run to and from his office, which was like in Midtown.
Yeah, 30 miles a day.
And he would just eat fruit off the fruit carts, fruitarian, right? Did he get you on the fruitarian diet?
I was doing fruitarian for a while. I was never full fruitarian, but what I would do is I'd eat fruit. It's almost like a Jesse Itzler thing. I'd eat fruit till 5 p.m. And my body got adjusted to that really well.
Right.
And then I'd eat pretty healthy at night. And I still do a very similar thing when I cut weight for marathons. Like I'm not heavy by any stretch, but like for New York City, I cut about 12 pounds because when you're trying to run fast, like ultras are one thing, but when you're trying to run fast, you got to be lean.
Yeah.
Like my wife does not like it. She calls it manorexic, but I will be pounding bananas all morning. I'll be eating mangoes. I mean, I can eat yellow mangoes till I'm yellow in the face.
That's not necessarily the best strategy with ultras though. It's a different thing.
No. And then keep in mind, I eat other things at night to fill out and like lean proteins. And I love rice. Rice is my favorite food. I could give up anything, but I just love rice and spicy hot sauce, which is kind of gross, it sounds like, but just, and so I will lose weight and I can lose like a pound a week. And I get it feels amazing when you're running fast.
What's your favorite race or the hardest race that you've done?
I think Spartathlon, because it's
Harder
so
than
epic.
Badwater.
Yeah, it's so epic. It's just, I've never been at a race where it feels like the Olympics for the modern man. Ironman Hawaii is cool, but it's a little less, it has less of a soul. It feels like a corporate thing. I'm not trying to knock it. It's amazing, the history of it. And I'm around everybody's a badass. Like when you go to Hawaii, I just see somebody and I'm like, oh, I meet this woman who looks like she's 32, she's 62, and she's going to completely crush me at the race too. You know what I mean? Like everybody there is the top of the top at everything too. They're all people that are so accomplished in life. You meet them and like, you run a business and you're a mother of 4 and you're like the best triathlete. I was blown away by the people I met. But Spartathlon, I met people that are like, when I did it the first time at mile 76, I DNF'd. I was not mentally prepared for running 153 miles in a row. I just didn't know what that was. I thought I did, but I didn't. And I got passed by these 2 guys that are in their 50s that are German. I'll never forget this image. I'm on the floor. I'm done. Like, turn me over. I'm cooked. I'm waiting to write my DNF speech. Keep in mind, I've been thrown up for 8 hours. That's a different story you can find on YouTube. It's hilarious. But still, excuses. I should have finished. These guys are running in the middle of the night in Greece, drinking beers. These 2 German guys drinking beers. Like I'm not joking. They have beers. They look like they're out for a jog at mile 2. Their mental toughness is they will die before they don't finish this race. And I came home and I was so embarrassed that I didn't, like, do you understand? Like, I watched the people at the finish line. I was crying. I was so emotional. You can see in this video, because I'm seeing people that are way less fit than I am in every objective measure. I'm like a 225 marathoner at the time. I'm seeing a woman in her 60s who can't run a 4.5 hour marathon to save her life, who finished this race when I gave up. And it's so inspiring. It's so humbling that when I came back the next year, it was like my mindset was, there is no way I'm not finishing.
Right.
And when we finished, I like broke down. I'm on my knees. And it's also epic because the Greek community.
Explain the idea behind the race for people that don't know.
So if anyone saw the movie 300, that Gerard Butler flick, they have a scene in it where they say, the way they frame it is that the Persians were going to invade Greece, and that in Athens, they sent a Phidippides from how am I blanking? The Acropolis. They sent this guy running and they retraced the steps, 153 miles. They said it was in 36 hours. This guy's in flip-flops. He ran there and delivered a message to King Leonidas of the Spartans and 300 Spartans at forgive me if I forget the place. Thermopylae, yeah. Right there. It's like this near Corinth that they saved. They held off the Persians, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of them. And that gave enough time for the Greeks to assemble an army and eventually save civilization. Like they frame it as we would not have democracy here and now if they hadn't done this, and if this one runner hadn't done this epic run. And so when you get there, like everybody's honking their horns, everybody knows, everyone's behind it. When you get in town, they have like a parade with thousands of people from the city. They put a crown on your head of like olive branches that are wrapped together, and you drink water that people give you in togas. When you get within a mile, all these kids in bikes are there. Everyone's honking. The whole city knows what you're doing. Like it's not like a Boston Marathon. It's not anything. This is in their soul. These people are so proud. I can't even tell you. You bow before this statue and you deliver a message and you like hand it. And it's like a religious spiritual experience.
And there's only like, I don't know, 60 finishers or something like that.
Every year is like 20%.
Right.
Most people that go there, and the year that we finished up until that time was the lowest finisher rate ever because it was 95 degrees. There's no ice. It's like Europe. You know where there's no ice? There's no ice. There's a funny story with Scott Jurek. Have you ever had him on?
No, but I know him.
I believe he's vegan. He couldn't get ice in his race report anywhere. The only place I think his girlfriend or wife at the time could get ice, I don't want to spoil this story or like massacre it, I remember, is at a butcher shop, and he had to put ice all over him that was filled with blood, and this guy's a vegan with animal blood all over his body.
I hadn't heard that story.
Great story. So
didn't Dean run it in the sandals?
Yeah, Dean ran it in sandals. I can't remember how he did. I love Dean so much, man. The greatest. Dean got me into ultra running. Like his book, I have his book. He autographed it. And then we became friends since. But I have things like highlighted, and I made him initial the line where he ran from Napa to San Francisco for 100 miles overnight to then run the marathon. I'm like, dude, you are just. I love Dean, man.
So what is the overlap? Like, how do these two worlds kind of?
Sorry, I'm geeking out too much on ultras.
No, it's like I love it, but like I'm interested in the overlap between what you do professionally and how your running kind of informs that? Like, does it, how does it enhance your creativity? What is the practice around that? What are the kind of mindset tools that you develop that are applicable in both of these disciplines?
I've tried to figure out, and it's not like, it's hard to articulate some of it because everybody knows that if they find something that's a practice, like you just called it, whether it's yoga, whether it's, meditation, whether it's running, is your brain gets into a zone that I think we don't have enough of nowadays, which is you tune out, which you're not thinking of all the parts of your life that you have to do, and you're not on your phone or electronics or things that suck you in. And that's when my biggest creative bursts happen. They happen when I have to do something, like you just said, necessity is the mother of invention, constraints, you have to have those. And also when I'm running, I'm just like, that's when I zone out. There's something about moving, and it's different for all different people. It's funny because I don't think of running as something I would enjoy. When I see someone running, it doesn't look fun to me. And when I was a runner as in high school and I hated it so much, I still am that person. But something about it now just evens me out. It kind of, the way my mind goes into that zone, it's made me a better mentalist because I go into that same thing where I can hyper focus in a way. And it's kind of like visualizing a race. Before I'm ever at a race, I've already run that race 100 times in my head. I've already thought through where it's going. And that same kind of methodical deciphering all the little angles of it and trying to while also just letting yourself go. It's a little bit of both. Like mentalism, what I do, it's an art and a science. And running, I think, is the same way.
Yeah. I mean, the way I think about it is you're basically flexing this muscle of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like you're acclimating yourself to a certain kind of discipline that just inures you to this idea that you always have to be like iterating and creating and pushing forward, because the running, is always like holding you to account, right? So if you carry that level of discipline into your professional life, like these two things can feed each other. But I do think there's something you kind of just briefly mentioned about not getting ahead of yourself. Like in ultra running, like you have to be present with that pain and suffering. If you have such a long distance to go and you're having a hard time and you start thinking about that, like you're toast, right?
Oh, you're toast.
So you have to be rooted in the moment. And I would imagine, not being a mentalist, but thinking like for you to do what you do on stage, like you have to be so in the moment of what you're doing in order to be able to execute.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. Like if I lose track of it, it's kind of like the same thing I said. If you're thinking about what you're going to do after you catch the ball, you don't catch the ball. And that's a lot of my mess ups have been that I'm thinking too far ahead, and I really have to focus on what's happening at that moment. And running is, it's a great escape. It's just, it's so fun to not know what's going to happen. And with the ultras, the big challenge of it is just knowing that you're going to suffer and seeing how you're going to do in the suffering.
Yeah. And the longer it is, the more of a mental thing it is.
Yeah. It's all mental.
Right? And the mental is what you do.
Right. The mental is all I do. Yeah.
Right.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'm planning to do a long run this summer. I've been wanting to do it for years. Is I'm going to run, because I'm out in Long Island some of the summer, from Montauk to Manhattan, which is around the length of a Spartathlon, 140 to 150, depending.
That far? Wow.
It depends. It's as the crow flies, it's a little less, but it's not a, you know what I mean? You got to kind of weave a little bit if it can't be on the highway. And so I would love to do that and potentially to for a few charities, give some money to some great causes, get some sponsorship deals and people on board. And I'm hoping to do that this summer. I wanted to do it last summer, then a race got in the way. And then before that was COVID, so it was a little tricky to get it underway, but I think this summer it'll happen.
Yeah. But how many gigs are you doing right now?
Ton.
You're a maniac.
A ton. Maniac.
Yeah. And are they huge gigs, small gigs? Like, what does it look like now?
It really varies. So, I would say I did an event in somebody's living room recently. That was for like 15 people. And then I have a show coming up that's for 15,000 people at an arena. So it runs the gamut. I would say the majority of the events that I do tend to fall in the neighborhood of 150 to 1,000 people. That's, I don't want to say it's a sweet spot, but that's probably the most. And then I sometimes am doing things that are public ticketed, like fundraisers for various organizations that bring me in at galas and fundraisers all across the country. And those I promote, like I put on my site. But like you said, the suit and tie, I'm big in the corporate circuit.
Yeah.
So I don't have any touring theater shows. I had a residency in New York for a while, and then COVID hit, so that kind of got shut down. But it's just companies. It's kind of one of those things, like kind of like the speaker circuit, where somebody sees me at one, I don't advertise, and then they like what they saw and they want me for this one and this one and this one. And that's kind of been, word of mouth has been good to me.
I could see you doing like a Vegas residency type of thing. Isn't that where all the magicians ultimately go? Who get big?
I don't know if my wife will come with me to
Yeah.
Vegas. We've had the talk, and she's
that
like,
would
"Oh,
be a
you're going to
lifestyle
Vegas."
shift.
She's like a New Yorker at this point.
Right.
She really loves the city. I think at one point I might do that. I also love running in Vegas. It's just one of those places where I have such good runs. You never have to stop in Vegas. I can always weave. You know how they have, it kind of reminds me of Michigan.
If you go outside the city, I mean, like
Stunning.
Alex Honnold lives in Vegas and he loves it because he has access to all of these climbs and all this natural beauty it's just, outside of town.
I did like a 40-mile training run once right before a gig. That's like my go-to is if I land at 10 a.m., just drop my stuff at the hotel. And then my wife knows, she's like, can track me on there, like get back for the gig, but I will just go as long as I can. If I can fit in.
So you literally run 40 miles right before a gig.
I mean, 2 or 3 days ago, it's all time constrained. So I got into Florida. I had to do a couple things. I had some client calls I had to do. And then I ran 30 miles right at that point. It was 4 hours. I was hitting 7:31s. I posted it online, but I just ran 2 hours out, 2 hours back. And then I got in, and then I'm an expert at it. I have my suit laid out. I'm nothing if not methodical. Shower, 25 minutes later, suit and tie ready, sound check.
Yeah.
I actually think it makes my show better.
You should FedEx your suit or whatever ahead of time.
Yeah.
And just just wear your sweats on the plane and get off the plane and run from the airport to the venue. I'm sure there's a shower at the venue.
Oh, man.
Get changed, do your thing.
I'm too nervous about my stuff not arriving. That's like my nightmare.
Yeah.
Even though the thing about mentalism, magic, you have props. Mentalism, there's no props. You are the show.
Right.
That's why a lot of magicians eventually, some magicians end up going towards mentalism, or they add it in their show because it packs small, it plays big. That's the way to describe it. And a lot of people, you don't need all the big props. Like you got to bring cases and this and that. I need boxes and I need tricks. That's the one sweet spot of it. I can show up, and if you lose all my luggage, you could send me to Staples. Look what I bring here. I brought literally a notepad and a Sharpie. Like that's what I need, because a lot of times I have to construct my thoughts and I write stuff down before, because it doesn't happen in real time. I have to think of what you're going to do and kind of show you in advance. But I can do a show, and I've challenged myself with nothing. Get like $50, go to Staples, and I'm ready to perform for 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It might not be quite as smooth. Like I might not have quite the accoutrement, but I can easily do it.
Where's the big television special? The
I'm knocking on wood here.
Is that
So
how-
I had one on NBC. So I had one show on NBC that was a special. I got very lucky. We got nominated for an Emmy and I won. And so I got
didn't
that
know
one.
that.
And then
Wow.
I've never, if anybody's listening right now at NBC or ABC, we've pitched a bunch. You know me, I'm determined. So I think it's on the trajectory. Even though honestly, what's funny is being on TV, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to do it, but every single day being on TV becomes almost less relevant because the people are on streaming now have a global reach.
Yeah.
So you can kind of create your own thing. There's people on YouTube that are getting 1,000 times the eyeballs of anybody on network television now. So it keeps just evolving and changing. And I have an idea that I've been trying to make for a while that's just a very unique special that's never been done before. That's a mentalism. That's just like, I've always loved David Blaine and how he pushed the envelope, and he did it in endurance with his body as well as amazing magic. And there's a gentleman named Darren Brown who's based in the UK. That's a household name throughout Europe. He's incredible. Who's been in the States. He's just not quite as famous here, who created these just incredible specials where you know what the mind is capable of in hypnosis. So I've got something. I don't want to spoil it yet because it hasn't happened, but it will happen in the next couple of years, and you will hear about it. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, that's cool. It is amazing what David Blaine has done.
Have you had him on here?
No, I haven't.
You got to get him on.
I'd love to meet him.
Yeah.
What he does is remarkable, but it's very different. He's so much of it is putting himself in grave danger and these crazy endurance challenges that he's done. But the hot air balloon thing that he did most recently was with YouTube.
Yeah, with YouTube.
So it wasn't even on television. And that's really the one that I watched.
Right.
And I would imagine, I would love to see the numbers on that, to see how many people watched the YouTube versus like his other specials. It was pretty remarkable how they documented that whole thing. Yeah,
it was so cool. And they had all different, they had all the angles during, and you could kind of live stream it. And the cool part was the engagement. You could be chatting with other people about it during. So you're getting all the snarky remarks.
I know.
I don't know if you're ever on Reddit, but like some of the people on YouTube, the comments are almost better
away
than
from Reddit.
No, but the comments are almost better than the content because they're so funny. There's people that are just, they just best jokes ever at the right moment. But yeah, they're all about, I think YouTube is very much looking for that live content, something that you have to watch in the moment to be there, kind of like the same way sports, where if you watch it the next day, nobody wants to watch the Super Bowl recorded on your DVR the next day.
Right.
You want to be part of the zeitgeist in the conversation.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to create something that's just like that. That's in the moment. You have to watch it. That something big is on the line.
Right. All right, man. Are you going to fuck with my head or what's going on?
Oh, we got to do this.
Yeah.
So wait, we got to tee it up. But before we do this, I want to ask you one thing here. I'm just going to write this down, which is, I want them to know our history, you and I, because like it's really important. Because if I'm listening to this, I'm the guy who's like, well, wait, what happened before? So we got connected through Adam Skolnick. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Who we have connections because I've known David Goggins for a while, and Adam knows David. And then Adam attended a Zoom show. So during the pandemic, like my whole career ended. I thought in April of 2020, I'm like, I'm a free man. I'm retired. I got to find a new gig. And I started doing these shows over Zoom and reinvent. Like, how can I do this? How can I read people's minds when they're not even in the room? Adam saw it. He told you guys heard about your New York City Marathon, and you sent me an email. And it was like when I was trying to connect, and I saw the way you sign off, which I loved, right? Peace plus plants, right? You articulate those two, kind of a brand messaging. I want you right now, and everybody should know this is right now happening. You don't know what's about to happen. Do you guys have a Sharpie or something? Let me.
Yeah, we can
I
get
got a marker. I think I got a Sharpie. Here, I'm going to write this down, and I want you to see it. Peace. And if you're just listening to this, just narrate for them. I'm writing down peace plus plants. Is that what just happened?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to see it visually. How did you come up with that? I mean, I'm assuming because two things, obviously, plant power, vegan, and peace. Like, what made you think of that as what you were going to use as, what do you want to call it, tagline?
It happened organically. It wasn't like any kind of conscious decision. I think I just said it at the end of a podcast one day, and I thought that was cool. And it just kind of became a thing organically.
And words have power, right? You've had 600, almost 700 of these things. You've changed people's lives all around the world. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to jump down and think of another word. Okay? Not peace, not plants, and don't let me influence you. Whatever word you want. It doesn't have to start with a P either. It could, but it doesn't have to. And I want you right now to randomly think of a word. The only thing I ask, don't think of somebody's name. Because if you think of your wife's name, your kids' names, that's a very obvious approach. Think of a word. It could be a noun, an adjective, a descriptor, a verb, whatever you want. Think of a word right now. You got it?
Got it.
Now, you know what I do. And the problem is if I came into this fresh, if we did this fresh right now and you didn't know me, I would say stick with that. But what I want you to do is jump from that to another word. Now, hear me out. Let's say you thought of the word green. You might think of grass, or you might think of Michigan State Spartans, or you might think of anything else that's connected to it. Whatever word you just thought of, I want to make this impossible, that you don't say, oh my God, he made me think of this word. So I want you to leapfrog, like a game of telephone. From that word, pick another word that for some reason connected that word to this word. Can you think of another word just because of that jumped into your head? That word made you think of a new word. So now we have two levels of separation, right? This is like we're getting all the way to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
You got another word in mind right now?
Yes.
One more time. Jump from that word to a new word.
Okay.
You got it? Okay. Can you tell everybody else, there is no way that I could have known what you would have picked, because honest to goodness, you didn't even know what you were going to pick. Is that true?
True.
Okay. So tell us all, what is that word? I want to know. I'm not guessing it.
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment. And you jump from two other ones. We couldn't know what those
Yes.
are. Now, can you tell everybody, we're doing this on audio or video. Can you tell everybody what happened? I don't want to be involved in it. I don't want to touch
Sure.
it, nothing.
So when we were scheduling this podcast and we found a date and we were just locking in all the details, you emailed me or you texted me and said, I'm sending you this FedEx. I just want you to keep an eye out for it. And when it arrives, I want you to not open it, but I want you to sign your name on it and date it.
Exactly.
Write the date that you received it.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Can you grab
it's
it?
like right over there. Can you got it?
Can you guys grab
Jason, bring that over.
And I'm going to hand that. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you a question about this specifically. Okay. Peace
Yeah.
plus plants. Did you sign that yourself?
Yes.
You did. Where has it been since that moment? That's the next thing I want to know.
It hasn't left this studio.
Hasn't left this studio. And I want to see if I have this. Rip it open, please. I should have brought something here. Is there any conceivable way that somebody working with you could have switched the contents or
No,
inserted something in
because
or taken something out?
This is my name and I dated it and this has not been open. And this, as soon as it came in, I did this.
Perfect.
So
now we see what I
inside of
found
it-
in there.
is another sealed envelope. And on it says sealed on February 28, 2022 at 11:19 a.m. And then you signed your name.
So now there's two facets to this because I wanted to make sure for my reputation that nobody switched what's in there because then I'm on the line. And then on the other side, I said, please don't open it until, can you turn it around? Please don't open it until we are on the podcast.
Right.
Now that one's still, if you look, there are sides to it. Tear it open as well, please.
Okay.
Now, Rich, if you've learned anything about me from this point, I'm nothing if not methodical. So now we got one more layer. Done.
Oh, dude, okay.
Now I know. Now I know you guys didn't mess with my stuff.
This is a manila envelope with my name and my logo on it.
Bam, we got
And
the
there's so
logo,
much tape
baby,
on
Rich.
this.
We taped it like crazy. And that is why I brought a safety light open. You're like,
Right.
what did you take out of your pocket?
Right. I'm not going to be able to open
do
this without that.
Slice it open, Rich.
How do you use this?
I like how Rich doesn't open his own mail. No, don't
know.
go there. Don't go
How do
there.
you
There's a
do
little
that?
hole at the top. You ready?
like
Put that
this,
thing in
I see.
And do a nice little smooth along the top. You're going to cut yourself. Oh, be careful. Here, just flip it over.
Oh, I got it. I've never used one of those
Now, there is
before.
a safety seal. Can I show them this?
Yeah.
Can you guys, I don't know, do you want to do this with the camera? Are you going to do this for like a behind the scenes or no?
Yeah. Let's make sure we
Can you
see
guys
what's
see
going
if
on.
it's sealed, the safety seal on here? And Rich,
Let me see.
this knife, hold on, grab this knife. I want you to cut open the next thing. Oops, sorry. We got business cards in here. Unrelated.
Okay.
It's cut in my pocket. Okay, so take this thing
Yeah.
and can you confirm the seal is intact? So can you see what I'm talking about? Do you see it? Oh, grab it.
yeah,
I don't want
yeah.
to, this thing, the seal. Take it out, please. Safety seal.
This thing?
Yeah, it should be attached to the staples. Grab it out, please. All the way, all the way.
All right.
And is it, okay, so it didn't rip. So the
Safety seal intact and secure. It was
So
it was
these-
stapled.
Well, check. It was attached to the staple.
Yes.
So grab it out
Stapled.
yourself. I don't want to touch that
All
one.
right.
Rich roll yet again.
It's another.
Stapled everywhere.
All right. Another light blue envelope stapled all the way around 360 degrees.
Rich, this,
Again with my
that,
name all
this,
taped up.
stapled. You could either cut it with that or you know what? Screw it. You might be able to with the tape. Just rip that bad boy open.
Right.
Tear. Tear like crazy. Can you get in or no?
Yeah. Okay. Then pull this out.
It's
some note
been
in
sitting
here.
there waiting for you. February 28th.
All right. So
And I'd
there's
like you to stop. Before we
Okay.
do this, put it against your body. You haven't read it yet, have you?
I've not read it. No.
You're sitting across from me. How many podcasts have you done?
We've published 666.
As of this moment, it might change.
Yeah.
I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes for me for just a
Mhm.
second. You're holding this in your hands. Not going to change. It's been in there since February 28th. Close your eyes and imagine it's sitting across from you. I like to call this the ultimate interview because you're a person who explores. You want to get in depth. You want to hear those moments. And I say to you, if you could, I ask people this question all the time. If you could have dinner, or in your case, interview somebody famous we've all heard of, dead or alive, male or female. And the reason I have you close your eyes, because like it'd be like Googling this person. A picture is worth 1,000 words. See that person's face in your mind right now. Can you see that person's face like they're in the room with you,
Mm-hmm.
as if he or she is sitting across from me? Say their name.
Abraham Lincoln.
Read what's in your hand. Open it up, please.
The whole letter?
Please.
Hey, Rich, I'm very excited to meet you and be a guest on your podcast. What I love about a great conversation is you never quite know where it will take you. Athletic achievements, past and present, seeing yourself cross the finish line in 7:28 or winning a race, maybe discussing our favorite books. I lean towards fiction, but could see you diving deep into a biography of Abraham Lincoln. Only dude. Only time will tell, and hope it is very memorable for you and your listeners. Peace and plants and enlightenment. O's. That is unbelievable. 728, Abraham Lincoln, and enlightenment. 3 for 3. That is crazy. So for people who are watching or listening, it didn't quite get fully explained, but before the podcast started, we did an exercise where you asked me to go on my phone and go into Google image search and think of somebody that dead or alive who would be a great podcast guest.
Yeah.
And I just thought that I randomly selected Abraham Lincoln, and I have it down. You didn't look at my phone.
I'm over here.
Yeah, you didn't look at my phone.
It doesn't really matter if I did it.
And,
This is
and here was the picture.
Abe,
that I
honest
pulled
Abe.
up on my phone a couple hours ago before the podcast even started. That's crazy, man. That is unbelievable. I thought I had you. I thought I was immune from your wiles.
Rich is like, I got this down. I got this. That's why I was trying to up
my
the bar.
thing going in was like, I'm going to pick something so obscure and crazy that there's no way that this guy would be able to predict or with any, but you know what? I fell right into your web somehow.
Yeah, of course you didn't go for somebody obvious. And we got a new tagline. We're putting out shirts.
crazy.
Peace plus plants plus enlightenment. You heard it here first.
Now I'm going to go back and, like a forensic expert and rewatch this whole thing and try to figure out where the cues were dropped or how you led me in a certain direction to have me say those things.
That's what I want our listeners. Just up those keep downloading this until we get it all the way to the top of iTunes. I like that. Let's keep going until you figure me out.
Is it all there?
It's all there all the time. It's just, it's taking a puzzle and putting all the pieces together. It's a little difficult for most people to do because that's my job.
That's unbelievable, man.
And I'm going to watch Nightmare Alley now that you said it, but
I got to watch Nightmare Alley.
I hope I left you guys with a crazy moment. And we're going to definitely do some stuff when we kill the podcast for all the team in here who puts in some really hard work. Incredible operation you've got.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that was mind blowing.
Thanks, man.
I just, wow, unbelievable, man. Really a pleasure to talk to you.
You too.
What you do is not only super fun. It is a gift and it is beautiful. I watch a lot of your videos and just to see how excited everybody gets and how much enjoyment and joy that you bring to people's lives. And now you get to go and do it in person again after we've kind of weathered these last 2 difficult years. So it's got to be really gratifying to be able to do live events and be with people.
There's nothing compares. Like the Zoom stuff is fun and I'm really not complaining because it was, put food on the table during this whole thing. And it was actually wild because at a certain point you didn't realize you could actually do more events because you can just go into a studio. I don't have to fly across the country like I am today.
Zoom stuff
back to back to back. I'm doing one in Singapore, then I'm doing one for, Europe, and then I'm doing one for San Jose, like every time zone. I'd be up at 5 a.m., one at midnight, one at I could do multiple every day. And I'm wearing, the old joke goes, I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops running across the street wearing a suit and tie up top. Because I have a studio that I rented and we decked it out, And it was incredible, but it doesn't hold a candle. Like what I do is just the enjoyment of seeing people, feeling them. There's nothing like it. I mean, with I think almost every form, even this, interviewing somebody on Zoom is just not the same feeling.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
I know the thing, man. Well, I'll be looking out for that special.
Thanks.
If there's anything I can do to help you, this was an absolute joy. I know you got to run and you're going to do this event tonight, but next time you come to LA.
In the same resort you were at, the same resort. You're talking about mentalism. I was speaking
at this resort yesterday and you come in, you're like, I have to go to this place. I was like, I was there yesterday.
And neither of us have ever been there before. How weird is that? And we've probably both been all over. If you dropped a pin on all the places I've been around LA that they do events. So it's just, confluence. A lot of stuff is like that. Where in my show, I'll get lucky and I'll take advantage of the luck. I have stuff where I literally get lucky. I'll just look at somebody and say, is it this? And they go, yeah. And I'm like, I swear to you, that wasn't mentalism. I just swear to you, it was a guess that landed. And it's just, I get lucky with guesses. People don't believe me when I say I'm a very good guesser.
That you are, for sure.
Thanks, Rich.
Cool, man. Well, next time we go running and
we are definitely going running. I'm holding you to that because this was not enough today. I want to get out there, get some miles on the trails with you.
Cool. So for people that want to dig deeper into Oz Pearlman is your website, ozpearlman.com. Oz the Mentalist on all the social media sites.
And it looks like Oz. You got to blame my parents. Weird Israeli name. Oz, like Oz the Mentalist, but I don't know. We say it Oz.
Right.
Yep.
Oz it is. Anything else you want to cue people up on?
No, if I end up doing this charity event, which I'm like 99% sure on at this point, this charity run, I'll pop it up on my social and it's going to be for some great cause, a couple charities that I support all the time. And if you're in Long Island, come find me out there running. I'm going to do some mind reading and running at the same time. I'll pick like a Thursday or Friday this summer and just do a 135-mile run. Just go suffer a little bit.
Yeah, keep me posted on that.
Maybe
I'll
sure.
pop in for a segment.
Yeah, I told your partner in crime, Adam, about it. And he thought, he's like, yeah, we should do it.
I know. I wish Adam could have come today. He's out in the desert.
I heard.
So next time.
I'll be there in a week.
Palm
Springs.
Cool, man.
Cool.
So that's it. Talk to you again soon. Peace, plants, and
enlightenment.
There you go.
Love it, Rich. Thanks, man.
Cheers.